It's a big game. We want them to embrace it, but at the end of the day, it's a football game.
Part of that is your quarterback, J.J. McCarthy. What do you need to see from him early to know that this group's locked in?
Yeah, like we said, let him rip, play aggressive, let him have fun out there, make the right decisions with the football and do his thing.
I appreciate it, Coach. Good luck.
Thank you.
Sherrone Moore, the offensive coordinator under Jim Harbaugh. Trevor, everything comes full circle. Sherrone Moore was an Indiana assistant from 2017 to 2020, so he worked a year with Kalen DeBoer and obviously with Michael Penix Jr., knows them very well. Before I get your thoughts on Jim Harbaugh, let's get a piece of the Jen Latta interview brought to you by the Mercedes-Benz ESPN College Football Podcast Sprinter, coming soon to a game near you. Visit mbvans.com/sprinterlabs to learn more. Maurice Hurst, former Michigan defensive lineman, on Jim Harbaugh.
The thing that I think makes Harbaugh so special is he just really loves the game of football. Everything he does is about the game of football. He eats, he breathes, he sleeps football 24/7. He's got a real passion for the game, and you can really see it in every day. And as a player, that really brings you up and really makes you want to put in more work because you just know how much it matters to him, and it just elevates everyone around him. He expects a lot from the coaches. He expects a lot from the players. Anyone that's in that building, he just expects the best out of it. And, that just brings everyone together and makes everyone stronger.
There you go. That's Maurice Hurst, who played at Michigan, and obviously you play for Jim Harbaugh. You have a much different feel maybe than the public opinion feel outside of Ann Arbor, outside the state of Michigan. And Trevor, that's the tumultuous season, 2 different 3-game suspensions. They've overcome that. And certainly rumors that maybe he's headed to the NFL. There's at least 5 NFL openings right now, and there could be 8 NFL head coaching openings before long.
Kesty, I'd be stunned if he doesn't go to the NFL, because he's already brought Michigan back to the precipice of where he wanted to bring them, which is national greatness. And I don't think he's going to want to stick around and let the NCAA slap him around if they want to bring sanctions against him. The thing about Harbaugh is that he has done everything the right way, the slow way. I mean, he started his career at Michigan. He was 0-5 against Ohio State. They lost 6 straight bowl games, including 2 straight college football playoff semis. Now he's won 3 consecutive against the Buckeyes, 3 straight Big Ten championships, and he just won the college football semi last week against Alabama. And so he has gotten Michigan back to almost the top of the mountain. He's got 1 game to go. And I think that win or lose, I think he's going to say goodbye.
Well, 39-3 over the last 3 years, as you point out, 9 years now. The Michigan man, Jim Harbaugh, in Ann Arbor. All right, we're getting down to our final moments here on College Football Live. We gave Kelly Stauffer the first crack at his prediction. He was leaning Michigan. Where are you leaning, or do you have a confident decision here just minutes before kick?
Michigan wins.
Michigan, a close one.
Yeah, in a close one.
What's the decisive
I think it'll be
factor?
close. Well, here's the thing. Michigan thrives in the role of the hated bad guy. They're like Mike Tyson, right? Where they just want to march up to you and start smashing you in the face until you finally submit. This is Michigan. And they played poorly against Alabama last week, right? Compared to how they normally play. Their offense disappeared for the entire second half until the final game tying drive with less than 2 minutes to go against the Tide that sent it to overtime. I mean, Michigan loves the Mike Tyson style. Washington thrives in the underdog role. They've been underdogs 5 times with Kalen DeBoer. They've won them all, including last week against Texas. This is like having that fight between Mike Tyson and Muhammad Ali in their primes, right? Tyson, that's Michigan, just smash you. Washington floats like a butterfly, stings like a bee. And so this matchup of styles to me is absolutely fascinating.
Well, this is the last year of the 10-year 14 playoff. We get to the 12-team playoff next year, so the schedule will be completely different. But you look at the semifinals, you got 5 weeks, you got the trick plays. Now you have 7 days. And these were teams that had to fly. Think of Washington, from New Orleans all the way to Seattle, and then all the way to Houston. Michigan went home, came back. Little different preparation for this game than it was for the semis.
And that's why the styles and the personalities are so important. I think of it this way. Michigan is like an anaconda. They just envelop their prey, and they are in no particular hurry to squeeze them into submission. Washington is like a cobra, where they're going to strike fast with those deep passing plays. They're going to strike so fast you know it's coming, and you can't stop it anyway. And I think ultimately with those 2 styles in this game, Michigan has the edge because they will run the ball better. They will stop the run better. And Washington has to be on against an outstanding secondary and an outstanding pass rush the entire game in order to make it work. And so I think that gives Michigan more ways to win this game. In the end, the anaconda takes some bites, but it ends up enveloping and squeezing the cobra, and they get the victory.
I always love the descriptive play of Trevor Maddich. I was on the field in New Orleans last week. I stuck with Washington, didn't tell anybody we were calling the game. And ESPN Bet I just saw went from 6 down to 5.5. So if that's your persuasion, maybe Washington's the good selection. And for fun, I'll go with Washington here tonight.
Okay.
I'll take Washington. Trevor's got Michigan. We just hope for a really good game. Sean McDonough, Greg McElroy, Ian Fitzsimmons, Chris Budden, Matt Austin, our rules expert. That'll do it for College Football Live. We are set for kickoff. Coming up next, this is the College Football Playoff National Championship presented by AT&T on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
If you're just tuning in, this is Fan 23, Fansville's #1 sports radio station.
Brought to you by Tasty Dr. Pepper.
We are settling the great debate, best third quarter snack, hot dogs or nachos?
You know my mantra, Doug.
Yes.
Meaty early, cheesy late.
Well, it looks like we have a caller here to weigh in. Is this Chuck?
Popcorn in the third is the move.
What?
You go with passive snacking after halftime.
No, it's nachos.
Look, as long as there's an ice cold Dr. Pepper there to wash it down, I'm good with either. Dr. Pepper, the one fans deserve.
In celebration of the 10th anniversary, Disney's Frozen is coming to podcasting with a brand new story. The Frozen podcast features Anna.
I want to know about that.
Elsa.
Makes perfect sense to me.
Olaf.
I don't get it.
And Kristoff.
Are we going on another adventure?
Oh no.
Of course! Experience Disney Frozen Forces of Nature, available now on your favorite podcast app.
Some people just know that the best rate for you is a rate based on you with Allstate. Not one based on the guy in post-game traffic watching the post-game highlights while trying to make a left turn out of the very busy post-game parking lot. Why would you pay a rate based on anyone else? Get a rate based on you with DriveWise and the Allstate app.
Not available in California, subject to terms and conditions. Some states' participation DriveWise allows Allstate to use your driving data for purposes of rating, while in some states a rate could increase with high-risk driving. Safer drivers will save with DriveWise. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
With your choice of select sandwich, nugs, fries, and a drink, Wendy's $5 Biggie Bag is your go-to. Your nugget wingman. Your hot and crispy fry co-pilot.
Just like us. We're like the bag boys.
What?
Bag boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when we bring your food?
For a deal you can count on, bet on Biggie and choose wisely. Choose Wendy's.
Bag boys.
U.S. price and participation may vary. Includes choice of JVC or crispy chicken sandwich with 4-piece nugs, junior fry, and small soft drink. Third-party delivery pricing may be higher.
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger. Because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Welcome back. All right, Jimmy, our Army veteran, for $400. Are you ready to answer the next question?
Actually, I'm good.
Huh?
Well, I already earn and save $473 a year on average with Navy Federal Credit Union. So, yeah.
All members of the armed forces, all veterans, and their families can earn and save more every year with a Navy Federal membership. Navy Federal Credit Union. Our members are the mission. Insured by NCUA. Dollar value based on the 2022 Navy Federal Member Giveback Study.
Hi, everyone. If you've been injured in an accident that was not your fault, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by to answer your questions for free. Call now and find out if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. Call 800-384-1340. I'm here with spokesman John Wolf. So, John, tell everyone listening who should call right now.
Well, Maria, first off, thank you for having me here. It's always nice to answer the listeners' questions. Now, as far as who should call in, anyone who's been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, give us a call right now. 800-384-1340. You'll find out if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth.
Thanks, John. You heard it, folks. Take advantage of this opportunity and call now. 800-384-1340.
Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center. May not be available in all states.
Washington and Michigan. Here we go. The title Monday night.
When you're sitting there in August and you're trying to figure out which teams are going to possibly make a run, I think both these teams have that proverbial chip on their shoulder.
It's been a long time since either of these teams last won a natty.
The Michigan Wolverines have done it. It's all roses finally for Michigan.
The last two playoff appearances, we didn't get it done. We all knew what our goals were, knew what our standard is around here at Michigan.
Washington advances to face Michigan in the CFP National Championship game.
Our goal is to win the national championship. Some people probably didn't believe us. We have the opportunity to do that.
This will be a matchup of strength. Michigan boasting one of the top defenses in the country.
Pressure up the edge, and he is sacked for the 5th time in this first half.
Washington featuring explosive offense.
Penix back to pass with time. Throwing end zone. Caught Jalen McMillan.
Year to a national championship. I mean, it's the best of the best. I can feel it in our team. We've adopted one of the slogans, job's not done.
We were all here for this, for moments like this.
Hey, we didn't come this far just to come this far.
College football on ESPN Radio is presented by Wendy's. Order a Wendy's Biggie Bag today, because if there's one thing you can bet on, it's Biggie. Now live from NRG Stadium in Houston, Texas, with Chris Budden and Ian Fitzsimmons on the sideline, alongside Greg McElroy. Here's Sean McDonough.
Good evening once again, everybody, and welcome back to NRG Stadium in Houston, Texas. Jammed to capacity, more than 72,000 on hand. The atmosphere is electric for tonight's national championship game between the number 1 ranked team in the country, the Michigan Wolverines, who are in the tunnel and about to take the field, the number 2 Washington Huskies. These are the last 2 undefeated teams of this FBS college football season. Washington winners of 21 in a row, the longest active winning streak in the country. Michigan second longest at 14. 2 teams have had magnificent seasons, and they are both, Greg, beautifully coached.
Unbelievable coaches on both sides, and 2 remarkably different personalities. Jim Harbaugh, the college football world, very familiar with who he is. He runs hot, he's tight, he's anxious, he's fired up, very intense on the sideline. And then on the other side, there's Kalen DeBoer, who's as easygoing and as approachable as any coach we cover in the sport. He's won 3 national championships at an NAIA school at Sioux Falls, has big game experience, albeit not on this level, but does have the pedigree that he's gone in the past and won championship games like this. So a very different style of coaching on either side of the field tonight.
Michigan has just taken the field from the tunnel across the field to our right. We're high above the playing surface here on the 8th level, on the 30-yard line to the right. And here comes Washington now from the tunnel to the near side of us to our right, led by Kalen DeBoer. We have reporters on each sideline. Let's check in on the Washington sideline. Here's Ian Fitzsimmons.
Sean, one of the big stories coming into this title game was the health of their Husky star running back, Dylan Johnson. He toted the rock for 1,162 yards and 16 touchdowns this year, but last weekend we all saw it in the Sugar Bowl. He re-aggravated a nagging injury on his right foot, and in the same play late in the 4th quarter, also banged up his left knee. Watching him in pregame warm-ups, he looked a lot better than I anticipated. That right ankle is heavily wrapped now along with the left, and he's wearing a sleeve to protect that left knee. Also, tight end Jack Westover has a high right calf strain. He told me, I am good to go. Nothing is keeping me out of this ball game. That's the latest on the Huskies. Over to Michigan right now with Chris Budden.
And the one thing you get from these 2 teams is just how loose they feel, particularly Michigan. I was watching J.J. McCarthy during warm-ups. He was with his teammates laughing and smiling. The one thing that they focused with him this week and last week is that things don't go right early. The ability to be able to shake it off. They were able to do that in the Rose Bowl, but it's not a situation this Michigan team has been in very often. Only 41 minutes this entire season has this team trailed, 23 of it in the Rose Bowl. So if things don't go their way early, can his mentality, the way that he's been all season, be able to shake it off? John?
Yes, Chris, Michigan has dominated its competition through most of the season. As you alluded to, Washington has kind of been squeaking by. They've won 10 straight games by 10 points or less, the last 4 by a combined 14 points. The captains making their way to midfield. Michigan from the far sideline. They are dressed in all blue, tops and pants, with the maize numbers and the familiar winged helmet. Washington in white jerseys and white pants with purple numerals and the gold helmet with the purple W on each side. Rayshawn Benny is out as the honorary captain for Michigan. He's injured. Backup defensive tackle, hurt in the game against Alabama, will not play tonight. The honorary captain for Washington is Steve Empman, who was on the last national championship team for the Huskies, the only one in school history back in 1991. Greg, we're ready for the game plan, brought to you by Wendy's. Order a Wendy's Biggie Bag today, because if there's one thing you can bet on, it's Biggies.
The big thing for Washington, they have to protect. Michigan feasted on Alabama's offensive line. 5 sacks in the first half, 6 in the game. Constant pressure, constantly pushing that offensive line back. It's the best offensive line in college football. They won the Joe Moore Award, and they have a big task tonight against a very aggressive defense coached by Jesse Minter. They're going to pin their ears back and come after them, and if they can't get home without blitzing, will they leave their secondary on islands to guard what I think is the best receiver core in all of college football, headlined by the Biletnikoff finalist Rome Odunze. For Michigan, they have to run the football. They have to stay in manageable down and distance, and then at times they have to take shots against Washington's safeties. That group has had some ups and downs this year. They played very well against the Texas Longhorns in the back end, but will they be able to match up against a rock-solid tight end core made up of Colston Loveland and A.J. Barner? I think that's where the game could be decided, between the safeties of both teams and along the offensive and defensive lines.
Washington won the toss and deferred, so Michigan elected to receive the opening kickoff. And the Huskies will be kicking off from our left to our right. Most of the fans here in NRG Stadium are on their feet in anticipation of the opening kickoff of the national championship game. The ball will be teed up along the hash marks to the far side of the field. The left hash marks, Grady Gross is the kicker for the Huskies. And Samaj Morgan, the true freshman, is back deep for Michigan, standing at the goal line. Gross is ready to go. He runs to the ball and kicks it, and the national title game is underway. End over end and returnable for Morgan from the 2. He's across the 15 and blasted right on the 15-yard line. Great coverage by Washington, just a 14-yard return, and it was Maurice Himes who delivered an early message for the Washington special teams. So here comes Michigan. They'll spot the ball at the 16-yard line, led by J.J. McCarthy, the junior from LaGrange Park, Illinois, 6'3", 202, 26-1 as the starting quarterback in Michigan. One of the great records in the history of college football. They open with Blake Corum, the running back, on his left hip. Out of the shotgun is McCarthy with 2 wide receivers to the right. Colston Loveland, the tight end, in motion to the left. A handoff to Corum, running left, and he's to the 20-yard line. And taken down there by Edefuan Ulufoshio, their outstanding senior linebacker, second leading tackler on the year.
Going to be very important for the defensive tackles of Washington to play at a really high level. MJ Ollie, number 68, number 91, Latuli Nasanoa. Those guys have to play at a really high level tonight.
Gain of 4. Michigan does huddle, and they stick with the shotgun with McCarthy, with Blake Corum now on his right hip. 3 receivers bunched to the right. Loveland in motion to the left. The snap to McCarthy, throws over the middle, caught for a first down to the 30-yard line. They'll mark it just shy of that, about the 28, to Cornelius Johnson, the 5th-year senior, with his 45th catch of the year. Good for a gain of 8 and a first down for the Wolverines, averaging 36 points per game. That's 14th in the country.
And a very nice, easy completion right over the middle for J.J. McCarthy. 10 yards in the air, easy pitch and catch.
They stick with the shotgun. Max Bredesen moves to the left side of McCarthy, and Corum's on his right. Roman Wilson in motion from left to right. The handoff to Corum running left behind Bredesen. He's across the 30, powers ahead to the 35-yard line. Michigan's leading rusher, 1,111 yards per game. Not big at 5'8", 213, but he is strong, and he showed it on that run.
First carry of the game went right behind the left side of the offensive line. This time they got to go to the edge a little bit. They pull a couple offensive linemen out and around, and Corum gets a nice gain on first down.
Lost his helmet, so he has to come off for a play. Corum finished 9th in the balloting for the Heisman Trophy as the running back of the year in the Big Ten for the 2nd straight year. They stick with the shotgun. Khalil Mullings is in at running back. They shift into the pistol with Mullings, the tailback. He takes the handoff straight ahead and powers for a first down with about a yard to spare. A 4-yard pickup for Mullings, who hadn't played much during the regular season, but was a factor against Alabama, formerly a linebacker for Jim Harbaugh.
And now that's 3 runs in the last 4 plays, 2 of which hit up inside for offensive coordinator Sharon Moore. And they've also gotten one to the edge. Now probably try a play action to see if you can keep them off, get balance.
Corum back in on 1st and 10. Michigan at its own 39, opening possession of the game. 12:35 to go, first quarter, no score. Snap to McCarthy, fakes a handoff to Corum. He's pressured, retreats, throws, caught. 49-yard line. Cornelius Johnson, a nice catch between the numbers and the sideline. Good for a 10-yard pickup, and Michigan sharp out of the gate.
And they fake a very similar run that they just ran a moment ago between the tackles. J.J. McCarthy pulls it late. It's wide open across the middle as he hits Johnson on an over route working from right to left. It's thrown a little behind, but Johnson grabs it. No yards after catch, but a nice gain.
Mullings back in at running back on the right side of McCarthy, who's lined up again in the shotgun. 3 wide receivers to the right, the wide side of the field. A.J. Barner, tight end, went in motion. They hand it off straight ahead to Mullings. He breaks some tackles and goes down inside the Washington 40. Broke a couple of tackles and picked up 14. The defense, not the strength of the Washington Huskies. They give up 404 yards per game. That is 94th in the country, and they are 120th in pass defense.
A.J. Barner, the tight end, motion from left to right. He hit the end man of the line of scrimmage. Mullings ran right behind him. They also had an orbit motion behind it all to fool the linebackers at the second level.
1st and 10, Michigan on the move. The 7th play of the drive. They're at the Washington 37-yard line. Corum back in at running back. McCarthy under center for the first time play. Action pass, steps up, pressured, and he goes down. Back of the 41-yard line, the first sack of the game. For a Washington team that doesn't have many, just their 22nd of the year. It's M.J. Ale, the defensive tackle, for a 3-yard loss.
And they get just across the 40 at the 38-yard line. That's when Sharon Moore wants to take a shot. They call one there. Nothing's open downfield. McCarthy tries to take off right up the middle, but Ale's sitting there and wraps him up for a loss.
Donovan Edwards now the running back. Out of the shotgun, McCarthy. Edwards shifts from his left side to his right. 3 wide receivers to the right, the tight end to the left. Snap to McCarthy, handoff to Edwards, bounces off a pile and breaks free. Outside of the 30, the 25, the 20, down the sideline, and he scores. 41 yards. Donovan Edwards got hit right near the line of scrimmage as he tried to run off left tackle. Bounced off that hit and went wider to the outside, and all kinds of running room down the near sideline. What a start for Michigan.
Extremely well done by the left side of the offensive line. Trevor Keegan, the left guard, he was engaged with Ale, who just had the sack a moment ago. Ale wins initially. Edwards runs right to the back of his left guard, but there's nobody home to the outside where Edwards finds a seam, and when he hits the Jets, he's out the gate.
James Turner for the extra point. They had some problems with snaps against Alabama. No problem there. Good snap from William Wagger and a good hold as well from Tommy Doman. 84 yards in 8 plays. Donovan Edwards, his first touch of the game, goes all the way to the end zone. With 10:14 left in the first quarter, it's Michigan 7, Washington nothing. You're listening to the College Football Playoff National Championship presented by AT&T on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app, presented by Wendy's. Impressive opening possession. Donovan Edwards, the 41-yard rushing touchdown, the second longest in college football playoff championship game history. The CFP now in its 10th year. Derrick Henry of Alabama had a 50-yarder against Clemson in the 2016 championship game, the 2015 season. And it's by far the longest run of the season for Donovan Edwards. His previous long was 22. He's a guy who was a big factor last year on their run to the CFP. Blake Corum injured his knee late in the season, went out. Edwards was terrific. He's been much less of an important player this year, but stepped to the forefront tonight.
Very much so, and they really haven't had a ton of explosiveness running the football. Both Corum and Edwards this season, they're averaging around 4.5 to 5 yards a touch. It hasn't really been the big hitters. They kind of grind you down, but that time Edwards, with great speed, finds the edge to the left-hand side and goes untouched into the end zone the rest of the way.
So an impressive start, 8 plays, 6 of them runs, and J.J. McCarthy was 2 for 2 for 18 yards. Tommy Doman kicks off for Michigan from right to left and blasts one. It lands on the back line of the end zone, so no chance for Daniel Nagata to run it out for Washington. So here come the high-flying Huskies, led by Michael Penix Jr., the 6th-year senior, 23 years old. 4 years at Indiana, now in his second season at Washington. The nation's leading passer at 332 yards per game, 10 more per game than Bo Nix of Oregon. Runner-up to Jaden Daniels of LSU for the Heisman Trophy. And off a masterful performance in the semifinal against Texas when he threw for 430. He starts under center with the ball on the right hash mark, and Dylan Johnson is the lone running back. They toss it to him, running left. And he's out near the 30 and actually powers ahead for an extra yard. So a good game for Johnson. Their leading rushers had a terrific second half of the season, playing with an injured right foot. That's plagued him for many recent games. Molly McGrath on ESPN TV reporting that he has actually a fractured bone in that foot. And he also had a ruptured bursa sac in his left knee. After the Texas game, suffered that injury in the game. He's replaced by Will Nixon, their second leading rusher, who goes in motion to the left out of the shotgun. Penix. He throws to the near side, caught by Jalen McMillan along the near sideline. And he's out of bounds with another first down to the 42. First down of the night for Washington.
Very soft coverage for Michigan, obviously understanding the big play potential, not trying to let anything over the top of their defense.
5 wide receivers out of the gun. Penix, 3 of those receivers to his left, the tight end Westover to the right. Penix looked to the sideline, then went up to the line of scrimmage, perhaps changing the play. Will Nixon went in motion, all kinds of shifting, particularly to the left of Penix. The play clock down to 5. Low snap, he handles it knee high, rolls to the left by design. Throws it out in the flat to Will Nixon, who's knocked out of bounds far sideline at the 45-yard line. A gain of 3 for Nixon, who did not have a touch in their semifinal game against Texas. He's their second leading rusher, but a big drop-off. Johnson came into tonight with 1,162 yards rushing. Nixon next with just 194. Second down and 7, 8.5 to go first quarter, 7-0 Michigan. From the left hash mark, a direct snap out of the shotgun to Penix and a handoff straight ahead to Will Nixon, who's the son of Jeff Nixon, who was the running backs coach for the Giants this year and just named the offensive coordinator at the Harvard of Central New York, Syracuse University.
Known more for its academics than football in recent years.
Indeed. 2-yard gain. Tybo Rogers comes in now as the running back. He was the primary backup to Dylan Johnson in the semifinal game. Ball equidistant between the hash marks. 47-yard line of Washington. It's 3rd down and 5. Rogers on the left side of Penix. He's in the gun. McMillan went in motion left to right. Penix looks left flat, throws. Rogers has it. Bounces off a tackle as a first down and more. Down the sideline. Out of bounds. Inside. They're going to mark it back at the 41, but he should have been stopped behind the line of scrimmage by Keon Sabb, a backup safety. who missed a tackle with the Washington 49.
And an easy throw there by Penix, just right out into the flat, 1 or 2 yards downfield. Sabb misses the tackle and turns into a nice play.
11-yard gain. 3 wide receivers in a bunch to the right. Rodgers remains the running back. He's in the shotgun. He steps in behind the center, Parker Brailsford, to say something. The Washington offensive line won the Joe Moore Award as the best offensive line in the country. Michigan won that each of the previous 2 years. Penix throws to the right side, and it's incomplete, intended for Rodgers, who went in motion to the right just before the snap and couldn't catch it. Junior Colson, the linebacker, put some heat on Penix.
Yeah, Jesse Minter, the defensive coordinator, bringing a blitz off the right-hand side, forces the ball out of Penix's hands very quickly. They had an unblocked rusher in Colson. He had to get rid of it quickly.
Dylan Johnson remains on the sideline. It looks like they're looking at some of his injury protection. His left leg is heavily wrapped. His right foot is as well. And he's talking to the training staff. He had 1 touch and came out. Will Nixon is the running back. He's on the left side of Penix out of the shotgun on 2nd down and 10 for the Michigan 42. There's a flag down on the snap. The handoff to Nixon straight ahead. Just across the 40 for about 2. Josiah Stewart, transfer from Coastal Carolina, made the tackle. Marcus Woods is the referee out of the ACC. Congratulations to all of these officials, judged to be the best at their
There's
positions
no foul for
in the
illegal
ACC.
formation. Washington called time out prior to the snap. Timeout.
So it didn't happen. And they'll put the ball back on the 42. And it'll be 2nd and 10 when we come back. 7:01 left in the first quarter. It's Michigan 7, Washington nothing. This is the College Football Playoff National Championship presented by AT&T on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app, presented by Wendy's.
You're listening to the College Football Playoff National Championship presented by AT&T on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app.
Let's pause 10 seconds for station identification. You're listening to the College Football Playoff National Championship presented by AT&T on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app, presented by Wendy's. Sean McDonough, Greg McElroy, high above the playing surface here at NRG Stadium in Houston. Chris Budden is on the Michigan sideline. Let's get a report from Ian Fitzsimmons on the Washington side.
Dylan Johnson, the Husky star running back, went into the injury tent after his first carry and only carry of the game, Sean. Came out and he's favoring his left ankle. The trainers had him doing up downs on his toes, reading body language. He kept shaking his head, then let out a frustrated roar. If you just watch body language right now, it is not a good sign for Dylan Johnson, who does have his helmet back on, trying to talk his way back into the game with trainers.
He went behind their bench and put his head between his knees as if he might be crying. As play resumes, it's 7-0 Michigan. 7 minutes to go first quarter. 2nd and 10 Washington to the Michigan 42. Quick pass to Rome Odunze, their leading receiver. And he goes down the far sideline for a first down to the 26-yard line. A quick little pop to Odunze. His 88th catch of the year. Good for a 16-yard gain.
It's very important for Ryan Grubb to get Odunze involved early in the game. Short, quick pass there. Nice catch and run.
Out of the shotgun. 2 receivers to each side. They're both tight to the line of scrimmage. The running back remains Will Nixon, no Johnson. Shotgun snap to Penix. He moves away from the rush and throws behind Nixon at the 23-yard line along the far hash marks. Washington going from left to right. Penix protected by the Joe Moore Award winning offensive line. Troy Fautanu is the best. The left tackle. Nate Paleppo, Parker Brailsford, Julius Buelow, and Roger Rosengarten, the rest from left to right. Out of the pistol. And it is Dylan Johnson back into the game. The transfer from Mississippi State. He averaged 58 yards per game over the first 6. Over the last 7, 117 yards per game. 4 receivers, 2 to each side. Now McMillan comes in motion. He takes a handoff on a jet sweep from left to right, turns the corner inside the 20, and yanked out of bounds just shy of another first down at the Michigan 17. A gain of 9. It'll be 3rd down and 1. First possession for Washington, trying to answer the opening Michigan score.
On 3rd and short, it's been Dylan Johnson really all season long. He's still in the ball game right now. Might be an opportunity to see whether or not that ankle is going to allow him to be close to 100%.
Washington huddles with 3rd down and 1 upcoming. They're 47% for the year on 3rd down, 14th best in the country. 1 for 1 on 3rd down in this drive. They give it to Johnson straight ahead, and he has a 1st down. Went right up the middle to the 10-yard line for a gain of 7. He had knee injuries in the spring when he transferred over from Mississippi State, and that actually delayed his progress. Knee injuries more significant than the coaching staff thought when he arrived out of the transfer portal. But he got healthy in the second half and took off. They hand it to him again out of the shotgun. He breaks a tackle, but gets no yardage, spun away from the first hit, but then got taken down by Junior Colson along the near numbers right at the 10. It is 2nd down and goal. And Johnson trots off with a little bit of a limp, replaced by Tybo Rogers.
And this is such a difficult part of the field for Washington's offense. They want to stretch the field vertically, but when the field condenses, they have to lean a little more on their run game. So Johnson not being out there is certainly impactful.
Ball just inside the 10 on the right hash mark. Down to 4:50 to go in the opening quarter. 7-0 Michigan, but Washington is on the move. The handoff to Jalen Polk on an end around from left to right, and he stopped for a 2-yard gain. It was Penix out of the shotgun, and Polk came from the far side of the field, took the handoff, and got knocked down by Josh Wallace, the cornerback in his first year at Michigan as a transfer from UMass. 4.5 to go. Michigan went down the field in 8 plays to score their touchdown. This will be the 13th play of the Washington drive. They huddle again. Break the huddle with just 10 seconds on the play clock. Will Nixon goes widest to the left outside the numbers. Shotgun for Penix. The player on either side of him, a timeout called by the left-hander. We're at the play clock about to run out. And just 1 timeout left for Kalen DeBoer now here in the first half. 4:04 remaining in the first quarter. It's Michigan 7 and Washington nothing. It's the College Football Playoff National Championship presented by AT&T on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app, presented by Wendy's.
Playoff National Championship presented by AT&T on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app.
And it's coming away from NRG Stadium in Houston, Texas, with the roof closed tonight. Stormy day in the Houston, Texas area. Michigan leads 7-0. They went down the field in 8 plays, scored a 41-yard touchdown run by Donovan Edwards. And Washington on its first possession, Greg, has gone the length of the field almost to the Michigan 8-yard line in 12 plays, facing 3rd down and goal from the 8.
It's been a great response. Having to use 2 timeouts, though, in the process, pretty significant for how that could affect them in the second quarter. But here on the 3rd and goal from the 8, got to be thinking they're looking in the direction of Rome Odunze. If they get him in the slot, working him against the undersized Mike Sainristil, that'd be the matchup I would want to try to target if I were Michael Penix.
Michigan was going to try to have Will Johnson, their outstanding corner, first team All Big Ten, run with Odunze a lot of the night, as much as they could. Washington now breaks the huddle. The ball's on the right hash mark. Jalen McMillan goes to the left. 2 receivers to the right. The tight end Westover to the left. Out of the gun, Penix. Dylan Johnson is the running back to the right of Penix, who moves in under the center. Brailsford says something in his ear. Johnson now shifts to the left side of Penix. The play clock still at 10. Just 3 down linemen for Michigan. Snap to Penix. He goes straight back, looks to his left, steps up, throws to the end zone too high. Trying to get it to Odunze, who is covered by Keon Sabb. And the throw is a little bit too high as Penix threw to his left. And the field goal team will come out for Washington.
Just a 3-man rush initially from Michigan, but there were 2 linebackers that added on late, which hurried up the process for Michael Penix. Had to get rid of it quickly, tried to give Odunze a chance, just couldn't. It was too high and didn't give his receiver a shot.
J.D. Gross on to try the field goal. It will be a chip shot, 25 yards from just inside the right hash mark. He's had an excellent year, 16 out of 20. He's made his last 6 and just made that one almost grazed the right upright on the way through. Anxious moments for Kalen DeBoer and the Washington Huskies, as that was just barely good from 25 yards. So they go 67 yards, 14 plays, had it for 6 minutes and 18 seconds, and settle for the field goal. 7-3 Michigan. On the Wolverine sideline, here's Chris Budden.
Sean, as Michigan's offense about to take the field again after their scoring drive, Sharon Moore, offensive coordinator, gathered his entire offense, and he says that is how you start a football game. We were strong in every single facet, but here's the deal. We smell blood in the water, and what do we do when we do that? We keep going after blood. So continue to put the gas down and play the way that you did on that very first drive.
All right, Chris, thank you very much. First time in the college football championship game that both teams have scored on the opening possession. And it's 7-7, and Dylan Johnson still getting medical attention. He clearly is not 100%, but he's gutting it out, and he was on the field for a couple of important plays on that drive.
Very impactful, and if you look at the run he had on 3rd and 1, it was right up the middle, but he had to make a cut from his left to his right. So that means it was putting strain on the hurt knee and the injured foot on both sides. It didn't look like he had a ton of limitations. So albeit, yes, in pain, he doesn't look as if he's moving any different than he was in the first 14 games of the year.
He has been such an important addition to this Washington team. Undefeated at 14-0. Each of these teams are 14-0. And for each, it is the school record in wins. Last undefeated season for Washington was 1991, when they finished 12-0 under the late, great Don James and won the national championship. Here's Ian Fitzsimmons on the Husky sideline.
Yeah, I'm watching Dylan Johnson right now, Sean, and he continues to work on that left ankle, but he's also, it looks like he's doing some mental toughness drills. You mentioned how he was squatting behind the bench after he took his helmet off. That was almost like a mental toughness thing, like how much pain can you take? And that's what he's doing right now, testing that left ankle with his helmet in his right hand. But he just leaned over the trainer's table again, set the helmet down, and now he's sitting down on the trainer's table, almost trying to get his mind right. As Greg, you've been there, man, to see how much pain can you take, especially on this stage with a national title on the line.
Yeah, I mean, he is remarkably tough and has been his whole career, even dating back to his time at Mississippi State. And if you watched the Pac-12 title game, the way he fights for extra yards, it was a huge difference maker there in the second half of that game. So it's going to be something to monitor for sure, but based on what we've seen on a couple carries, Sean, he looked like he's going to be just okay. He's just going to have to deal with some of that pain.
Gross ready to kick off from left to right. And Samaj Morgan is back deep for Michigan along the far hash marks, just outside the far hash marks. Gross, the kicker, a sophomore from Scottsdale, Arizona. And one of the highlights of the year for Washington. Game-winning field goal with no time left to break a 21-all tie and win the Apple Cup against Washington State. And after the game, Kalen DeBoer put him on scholarship. Paid his own way for a year and a half. His kickoff 1 yard deep. Morgan's going to try to run it out. Touch to the middle of the field. In trouble. And he's stacked up again. This time at the 14-yard line. So neither kickoff return has made it past the 15 for Michigan, where they managed to go 84 yards on the opening drive in 8 plays. The touchdown, Donovan Edwards. His only touch of the game so far, 41-yard scamper. So Michigan goes straight over the ball. An outstanding offensive line of their own. They're playing without Zach Zinter, the All-American right guard, injured against Ohio State. Did not play against Alabama. Well, Ladarius Henderson, Trevor Keegan, Drake Nugent, Carson Barnhart, and Trente Jones. Still an outstanding offensive line from left to right. All of them were either first or second team All Big Ten except for Jones, who was a sub most of the year. Hand off to Blake Corum on first down. And a hard-earned 3 to the 17, running off right tackle. And taken down by Elijah Jackson, outstanding cornerback who started every game this year for the Huskies.
And Elijah Jackson made the big play against Texas to secure the victory against A.D. Mitchell, knocking it out of bounds, forcing the incompletion. So a nice tackle there.
Michigan 14-0, the Big Ten champs for the 3rd straight season. Ranked number 1 in the country for the first time since 1997, the last time they won a national title. Out of the pistol now, McCarthy claps his hands, takes the snap, fakes to Corum, looks deep over the middle, throws, and it's caught. Roman Wilson at the 45 across midfield and out of bounds at the 46-yard line of Washington. A beautiful throw by McCarthy outside the numbers to the right. Hit Wilson in stride for 37.
Just an amazing throw by McCarthy. Heavy play action to his left. He stands back. The defensive back, Hampton, almost recovered running out underneath that over route run by Wilson about 18 yards downfield. Hits it right over the top of Hampton. Another big gain.
Wilson, his 46th catch of the year. Shotgun now, empty for McCarthy. 3 receivers to his left, 2 to the right. He throws to the right off the hands of Samaj Morgan near the Michigan sideline. Incomplete, nearly picked off on the ricochet by Elijah Jackson. That is the first incomplete pass for J.J. McCarthy. Now 3 out of 4 for 55 yards. That was not a good throw.
Just not on the same page with Morgan. Morgan sat down and stayed put. McCarthy thought he was going to drift away to his right.
Tight formation now with 1 receiver. It's Johnson who went wide left. Now he shifts close to the line. Strong side of the formation is the left. They go out of the pistol, and it's a handoff to Donovan Edwards, who breaks free again to his right. He's going to go again. 2 carries and 2 touchdowns for Donovan Edwards. This one 46 yards. 2 carries, 87 yards for Edwards. Both of them touchdowns. Yeah, the Michigan fans going crazy here in NRG Stadium.
And this one very similar to the last play. This time it actually starts to the left. Doesn't like anything there. Washington loses contain. Edwards bursts to the right side. There's a huge hole. He turns on the jets and he's out the gate. Nobody's going to catch him in the open field.
What a start for the junior from West Bloomfield, Michigan. James Turner, the extra point, up and good. Well, keep giving it to Donovan Edwards. He had only 4 carries in the Rose Bowl win over Alabama for a total of 11 yards.
I think, too, Donovan Edwards, his longest carry of the season, just 22 yards. And tonight, 2 carries, both of which have gone for more. It's really at the second level for Washington, too. They've just lost track of where Edwards is going.
Well, both of the touchdowns, he's bounced it. That time he was trying to run up the middle. The strength when they shifted was to the left. Nothing doing up the middle, so he had a little bounce to the right, had a big hole. On the first touchdown running left, he was trying to run it off tackle. Bounced off that, went outside, went down the sideline to score. A very highly recruited player out of high school. Had more than 900 yards rushing last year. Not as much of a factor this season, but he's making up for it tonight. Tommy Doman kicks off. Comes down a yard deep in the end zone. They will not try to run it back. Daniel Ngata. So a 14-3 lead for Michigan. Dylan Johnson does limp onto the field for the first play of this possession for the Huskies. 2:23 to go first quarter. 3 possessions total, 2 for Michigan, 2 touchdowns for them, 1 possession for Michigan and a field goal after a 13-play drive. Penix out of the shotgun. The ball's on the right hash of the 25-yard line. Johnson's to his right. 2 receivers to the left, 2 in a bunch tight to the right. Penix again steps up near Brailsford, the center, with some instructions. Michigan fans making a lot of noise. Penix claps his hands, takes the snap, drops back to pass, steps up in the pocket, takes off running, and slides down at the 30-yard line. Actually slid out to about the 32, but they marked the ball where the slide started, so it's a gain of 5 for Penix.
And Penix had 41 yards passing on the opening drive, but the average yards downfield was only less than a yard. So really quick throws, great run after catch, but so far Michigan keeping everything in front of them.
Mason Graham missed the tackle behind the line of scrimmage for Michigan. 2nd and 5. Ball equidistant between the hash marks. Snap to Penix. He pitches it to the left to Dylan Johnson, and he gets no gain. Tackled along the numbers at the 30-yard line by Mason Graham. Part of an excellent defensive front for Michigan. They lead the nation in scoring defense, giving up just 10.2 points per game. They are second in pass defense, yielding only 150, behind only Ohio State. Will Nixon is in at running back. He's gone wide left and comes now back in motion to the backfield. To the left hip of Penix, out of the gun. 3 receivers in a tight bunch to the right. They're 2 out of 3 on third down. Third down and 5. Back to pass Penix. To the right, McMillan at the line of scrimmage makes the catch and can't break a tackle from Mikey Sainristil. He managed to gain 2, but if McMillan had been able to break free from the tackle of the 5th-year senior from Everett, Mass, he was going to pick up a first down along the near sideline. But an excellent tackle by the former wide receiver, now one of the best defensive backs in college football.
Terrific tackle there in the open field and really well covered after the pressure called by Minter defensively.
Jack McAllister to punt for Washington. The snap is good. The kick is a shank along the near numbers, the right, but it gets a great bounce. Samaj Morgan moves away from it, and it rolls all the way down to the 21-yard line. A break for Jack McAllister. A 47-yard punt, but a lot of that was on the bounce and run. So Michigan will start from its own 21, its best starting field possession of the 3 possessions. And it hasn't mattered that they've started inside the 15 twice. They've scored twice.
The linebackers for Washington have to be better. Ulofoshio, Tupatala, and Bruner have all really lost where the back was in the backfield, leading to some big runs.
They open in the pistol with McCarthy and Blake Corum right behind him. The 2 tight ends shift to the right, Hibner and Loveland. And the snap to McCarthy. Hands it off to Corum. He breaks free. Went up the middle, bounced outside of the left. He's going down the sideline in Husky territory. Cuts back to the middle and is finally tackled from behind near the 20-yard line. Thaddeus Dixon saved the touchdown. So touchdowns of 41 and 46 for Edwards. And now the longest run of the night for Michigan as Corum goes for 59 on the last play of the first quarter. They are gashing the Washington Huskies on the run. They had 174 rushing yards in the first quarter. What a start for the Wolverines. At the end of the first quarter, Michigan 14, Washington 3. This is the College Football Playoff National Championship presented by AT&T on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app presented by Wendy's.
In 14, Washington 3, Mark Kestisher, Trevor Maddich, and Trevor, welcome back. Donovan Edwards, 3 touchdowns all season long, 2 long ones tonight.
And the feature so far is the sustainability of the blocks of the Michigan offensive line. The Washington defenders are stuck on those blocks. That's what happened with the Edwards touchdowns, and it's what happened with the Corum long run just a few seconds ago.
174 rushing yards, about 140 of them on 3 carries, including Blake Corum's, to end the first quarter. For the second, we'll go back to Houston with Ian Fitzsimmons, Chris Budden on the sidelines with Greg McElroy. Here's Sean McDonough.
All right, thank you, Kesty and Trevor. 174 rushing yards allowed is already the 4th most Washington has allowed in a full game this season. They've only played 1 quarter. The 87 rushing yards by Donovan Edwards, the most by any player in the first quarter of a CFP championship game. Here comes Michigan again on the move. They're the Washington 20 on the first play of the second quarter. Leading 14-3 already. Ball on the far hash mark, the left, as they go from our left to right. In motion, Bredesen from left to right. The handoff is to Corum. Running right. Poor tackling again by Washington. Looked like they dropped him for loss. Instead, he got 3 to the 17-yard line. Cameron Fabiculanen made the tackle, a safety.
Washington adjusted their front there on that first down play. They brought Latuli Lasanoa down right in over the center and brought an additional linebacker, Carson Bruner, to the end of the line of scrimmage to the right. So now they're starting to force the issue and just daring Michigan to try to throw it.
Largest deficit of the season for Washington. They didn't trail by more than 7 in any game prior to tonight. Khalil Mullings is the running back. McCarthy out of the shotgun. Mullings is on his right. 3 receivers a bunch to the short side right. They hand off to Mullings off left guard. And he's stacked up at the 14-yard line right in the middle of the field. 3-yard pickup for Bickulanen in there again. And here comes a big 3rd down. Washington needs a win on defense. Would love to force a field goal try here. 3rd down and 4. The first time Michigan's even gotten a 3rd down tonight. They've marched up and down the field. This is their 3rd possession without a 3rd down prior to this one. McCarthy out of the shotgun. Corum is the running back to his left. McCarthy calls a timeout with the play clock at 5, and Michigan still getting lined up. 2 timeouts left for Michigan here in the half. Washington has just 1. 13:35 remaining in the second quarter. It's Michigan 14 and Washington 3. You're listening to College Football Playoff National Championship presented by AT&T on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app presented by Wendy's.
You're listening to the College Football Playoff National Championship presented by AT&T on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app.
Michigan trying to win its 10th national title, just its 2nd since 1948. That came in 1997. And they're off to a great start. Greg McElroy leading 14-3 and facing a big 3rd down and 4 at the Washington 14-yard line as the timeout comes with 13:35 to go in the second quarter.
This is really the first difficult down and distance they've faced. And on 3rd down against Alabama, they had a lot of success throwing it to Corum out of the backfield. If Washington's in man coverage, you can anticipate Blake Corum getting a good long look, maybe out in the flat against a linebacker in coverage.
He's to the right of McCarthy. J.J. McCarthy, 3 out of 4 for 55 yards in the first quarter. The story of the ground game. They've rushed for 180 yards now. McCarthy ready to go. Claps his hands. 2 receivers to either side. The 2 to the left are tight. In motion, Johnson from the far side right. McCarthy looks to the right, throws to the right, and it's broken up. Trying to get it to Johnson at the 10-yard line. And a nice play by Jabbar Muhammad. Outstanding cornerback for Washington. 2nd team all Pac-12 this year as a transfer from Oklahoma State.
And a terrific job by Jabbar Muhammad. They motioned the wide receiver down to create a stack alignment. Johnson ran a quick little 5-yard out. Muhammad broke on it immediately and knocked down the pass.
There's James Turner for a 32-yard field goal. 16 out of 19 for the season. They had trouble with some snaps in the semifinal. Good snap here from Wagner. Good hold from Dolman, and the kick is good just inside the left upright as he hooked it around the pole. And Turner, transfer from Louisville, has had a nice first season for Michigan. His only try against Alabama was from 49, which he missed left, and that one was flirting with wide left. So 17-3 Michigan, but that feels like a small victory for the Washington defense, co-coordinated by Chuck Morrell and William Inge.
Big, big win right there for Washington. Look, they still got points, but you've given up 4 plays of 35-plus yards already. Just 16 and a half minutes into this game. They have to stop the big plays, and they need to get better play out of their safeties, who have not done a good job in containing the run. They need to do a better job identifying at the second level with their linebackers and making sure they're true to their gap. But they did at least stop a couple runs in a row right there to force a 3rd and medium and finally get off the field.
So they went 65 yards in 5 plays. Corum had 62 of those yards on that drive, including the 59-yard run. So Dolman will kick off. He's the punter and kickoff man. On the near hash mark, the right for Michigan. He drives one to the back of the end zone again for a touchback. Here's Ian Fitzsimmons on the Washington sideline.
Washington's Huskies running back Dylan Johnson, Sean, he was on the exercise bike, and every time he pushed down with that left leg, that left ankle, he winced every single time. This is truly mind over matter, and how much mentally, how much pain can he take? Heck, you're playing hurt right now, bro. I mean, you're injured. You're here.
Yeah,
mentally
I'm
tough,
with
man.
A detached tendon in my finger. Courageously broadcasting this national championship game. They start from the 25, the third straight possession, which they've started from this point. Ball in the near hash mark, the left for Washington. Penix out of the gun. Johnson is in the game to his right. Penix claps, gets the snap, throws far side. Caught at the 30, and sliding ahead to the 36 for a first down is Rome Odunze, consensus first-team All-American, junior out of Las Vegas, likely a top 10 pick in the NFL draft. Came back for another season because he thought they had a chance to win a national championship, and they're playing in the title game here tonight. 2 minutes gone by, second quarter, 17-3 Michigan, but it is an explosive Washington offense, averaging 37.6 points per game, 10th in the country. Out of the shotgun again, Penix. Johnson's on his left. Back to pass, Penix looking deep, fires deep, and it's caught at midfield for a first down. Caught along the near hash marks for a 15-yard gain by Jalen Polk, the sophomore from Lufkin, Texas, who, like Odunze, had a 100-yard plus receiving game in the semifinal against Texas.
And the longest throw of the night for Penix, moved the pocket to the left, and he drives a strike.
Out of the shotgun again, a handoff to Johnson from his left hip across the formation to the right, and a short gainer to the Michigan 49, a pickup of only one for Dylan Johnson. He didn't do much against Texas, 21 for 49 yards rushing on 21 carries, but he did have 2 touchdowns. And Washington, the brief huddle. 3 receivers in a bunch. One of them was Johnson to the left. He shifts back to the backfield to the right of Penix, still out of the gun. 2 receivers to either side, and they're tight to the formation. Snap to Penix, flags down before the snap. Been a penalty-free championship game so far. Neither team flagged. Nothing new from Michigan, second least penalized team in the country. Washington second most.
Offense, number 72, 5-yard penalty. Second down.
Oh,
The center, Parker Brailsford, you might have double clutched on the snap. He did. He flinched a little bit and then snapped it. He was a guard to start the year. They lost Mateo Melee, their starting center, in the second game of the year. Brailsford moved to center, did a nice job. He's just 275 pounds. Will Nixon, the running back now. Penix out of the shotgun from his own 46. Ball between the hash marks. Michigan showing blitz. They rush 4, but they still get pressure. Penix rolls left and throws into coverage, and it's incomplete. Along the far sideline, trying to get it to Jalen Polk inside the Michigan 30. But Josh Wallace and Keon Fab were both there for the Wolverines, and it was Chris Jenkins who brought the pressure from the Michigan front.
And these are the down and distance you have to avoid if you're Washington. Obvious passing situation. This allows Michigan's defense to pin their ears back on 3rd and 14. You know they're going to try to get the ball out of Penix's hands quickly because that pass rush is going to be breathing fire.
5 wide receivers, 3 to the left of Penix. He's in the shotgun. Michigan again showing blitz, some movement before the snap, and another flag, and probably another false start. Michigan was moving around a little bit in the defensive front, and it seemed to trigger some movement
Offense,
from Washington.
5-yard penalty.
Julius Buelow, the right guard.
And on 3rd down, Washington will adjust their snap count just a little bit. A hesitation, if you will, by the center before he snaps it. And that's twice now on consecutive plays where one of the guys moved just a touch early, trying to draw the defense offside, and instead it's the offense that moves.
They're back at their own 41. 11:18 to go, first half. 17-3 Michigan. They stick with 5 wide receivers, 3 to the left. Penix out of the gun, claps a couple of times, takes the snap. It's a 4-man rush. He has time. He throws, caught, short of the first down, and down to the 47 of Michigan is Jalen McMillan. They got 12, but they needed 7 more. And the offense staying on the field here. Kalen DeBoer might be going for this on 4th down and 7 at the Michigan 47-yard line. They are going for it, at least for the time being. Feels like his defense might have a rough night. They certainly have had already. They're going to need to match scores with Michigan. Will Nixon is the running back. Penix goes down the entire offensive line to give them instructions. McMillan goes in motion to the right. Two receivers over there now. Nixon on the left, out of the shotgun, four-man rush. Penix back to pass. Throws as a man wide open, and it's incomplete. Odunze was wide open on the far side at the 15-yard line, and Penix, with his remarkable downfield accuracy, just kind of missed him. Odunze tried to make a twisting catch on a ball that was high, and he couldn't take it in. They miss a huge chance for a big play.
And blown coverage in the back end. Jesse Minter, the defensive coordinator, goes right out to address things with Rod Moore, the free safety, who allowed Odunze to run right up the outside bottom part of the numbers. He's wide open, totally busted. It could have been a touchdown with an accurate throw. Instead, Penix is off the mark.
Yeah, high into the outside, and they can't believe they didn't convert it. 10:27 to go, second quarter. Michigan 17, Washington 3. This is the College Football Playoff National Championship presented by AT&T on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. Presented by Wendy's.
You're listening to the College Football Playoff National Championship presented by AT&T on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app.
Sean McDonough, Greg McElroy from the broadcast booth, 8 stories above the playing surface here in Houston. Ian Fitzsimmons is on the Washington sideline. On the Michigan side, here's Chris Budden.
Thank you, Sean. As Michigan's offense is about to take the field, John Harbaugh, Jim's brother, has just arrived with a group, including Mike McDonald, former defensive coordinator at Michigan. They flew in, had some trouble with some of the bad weather that's been around the Houston area. They did just arrive, and there was a cute moment where John finds their parents up in the stands, and Jack Harbaugh stands up and puts his arms in the air and is like, let's go. So John down here getting joy, finally, his brother's success so far in this game.
There's John, coach of the Baltimore Ravens. They are the #1 seed in the AFC playoffs. They have a bye this week, so he's able to be here with his wife, Ingrid. A lot of storms in the area. Their flight got rerouted to Austin. They sat on the ground there for quite a while. They arrived just after the start of the game. Michigan from its own 47 after the turnover and downs. Washington missed a great chance for a long play and perhaps a touchdown. On first down out of the gun, it's a handoff J.J. McCarthy to Blake Corum for no gain. Stopped at the line of scrimmage.
Now you see the second level, that time Drew Fowler. He is the linebacker, and he completely blows things up on the right side of the offensive line. Much more aggressive against the run there in these last couple series for the Washington Huskies.
Well, Fowler, deep backup, just his 17th tackle of the year. Perhaps they're looking for better tackling from the linebacker position. Out of the pistol now with Donovan Edwards, who's touched it twice and scored twice on long runs. He's the running back. They fake it to him. Play fake. McCarthy now flush to his right. Outside the numbers. Throws on the run. Caught. And now it comes out. Incomplete. It was Holston Loveland. Looked like he was going to have a first down inside the Washington 35. But it was knocked out by Dominique Hampton, the outstanding safety. He just punched it out as Loveland tried to make the catch on a ball above his head. So here's third down and 10 for Michigan. 9:39 to go in the first half. The Wolverines leading 17-3. McCarthy now 3 out of 6 for 55. They've rushed for 180. Washington fans making the noise now. Out of the shotgun, McCarthy. Corum on his right hip. 3 receivers in a bunch to the left. He throws to the right. Too high. And a little too hot to handle for Cornelius Johnson near the Washington 45-yard line. Even if he caught it, might have been short of the first down. Elijah Jackson in coverage. And here comes the first Michigan punt of the night.
And a massive 3 and out there forced by Washington's defense. Made some adjustments, tweaked the way they're lining up in the front. Had less success running the ball these last couple plays. And they have nice coverage on second and third down to force a much needed 3 and out after they rolled the dice on fourth down offensively.
Giles Jackson is back for the punt. He's a transfer from Michigan. Played 2 years there, now in his third year at UW. High punt by Goldman and too long, carried all the way into the end zone. 53-yard punt. Well, the ball will come out to the 20-yard line after the timeout. 9:29 to go, second quarter. Michigan 17, Washington 3. This is the College Football Playoff National Championship presented by AT&T on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app presented by Wendy's.
You're listening to the College Football Playoff National Championship presented by AT&T on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app.
Sean McDonough, Greg McElroy, Ian Fitzsimmons, Chris Budden, NRG Stadium, Houston. 9:29 to go, first half. Michigan leading 17-3 during the TV timeout. John Harbaugh made his way down to the Michigan sideline, gave his brother Jim a big hug, and Jim lit up like a Christmas tree, trying to lead his alma mater, Michigan, to a national championship in his 9th season as head coach. A lot of speculation if this might be his last game at Michigan. A lot of rumors in recent years he might return to the National Football League. If it is to be the end, he'd like to go out with a bang. He's done a fantastic job everywhere he's been. From the right hash mark, 1st and 10 for Washington with Penix out of the shotgun. Rare miss and a long throw on the last possession. Might have gotten him right back within a touchdown. Dylan Johnson is at the running back spot to the left. They fake it to him. Penix under duress, and he'll be thrown down for the first sack of the night. For Michigan, Kenneth Grant dropped him way back at the 8-yard line for a 12-yard loss for Washington.
And Washington trying to throw the ball down the field, have 3 verticals, all 3 wide receivers well downfield. But Kenneth Grant absolutely blows up Nate Kalepo, the left guard, just a straight bull rush. Kalepo ends up on his backside, as does Penix, as Grant makes a nice play.
They did not allow a sack. Washington in the semifinal against Texas. That's just the 12th allowed all year. 4th fewest in the country. Dylan Johnson remains in the game to the right of Penix. Out of the gun, they fake it to him. Penix drops back in the end zone, surrounded again, throws, and it is incomplete. It short hopped into Jalen McMillan between the hash marks near the 28-yard line. And again, the pressure forced the throw that didn't quite have enough on it. Good effort by McMillan, diving head first back toward the line of scrimmage, but he couldn't rescue the short throw.
So far, that's been the story of the night. 1 sack, 5 pressures. Penix on those pressures 0 for 5. So the offensive line really having a difficult time so far against this elite pass rush.
It's a deep defensive line. This is 3rd down and 22. Shotgun again for Penix. Drops back into the end zone, throws sidearm short, caught by Dylan Johnson. He runs across the 20 to the 23-yard line. Well short of the first down by about 7 yards. They got 15 to make it a better situation for the punter. Michael Barrett, a 6th-year senior, and Rod Moore combined on the stop for Michigan.
And Washington has to be better on 1st and 2nd down. That's consecutive drives now that have stalled. Last drive, because of penalties, got way behind the sticks. This time, the sack on 1st down really never gave him a chance.
Jack McAllister to punt again. Samaj Morgan standing back at his own 35. 2nd Washington punt. And the sophomore from Edmonds, Washington. And another low line drive, wobbly. It takes a good bounce. 2 ugly-looking kicks, but they've been effective for McAllister, and it rolls out of bounds far sideline at the 33-yard line. 45-yard punt. So Michigan leading 17-3 with 7:45 to go in the half will have the football. John Harbaugh still on the Michigan sideline. His dad Jack is here, national championship winning coach at Western Kentucky. Their mom Jackie, sister Joni, brother-in-law Tom Crean, the former Indiana, Marquette, and Georgia basketball coach. They're all here, hoping that Jim Harbaugh will have the greatest night of his coaching career, and perhaps his final night at Michigan. Shotgun for McCarthy. Corum on his right hip. And it's a handoff to Corum, running off right guard, following blockers who just steamroll Washington defenders for an 8-yard gain. Alfonso Tuputala finally made the tackle. 7 carries, 84 for Corum.
And at some point, Washington defensively, right now they're static. They're staying in place. They're trying to hold up, but the double teams for Michigan's offensive line are moving their defensive tackles off the spot. They got to start moving and being a little more aggressive up front, or they'll get mowed down.
Alex Orji has come in at quarterback. He comes in a few times a game, usually out of the Wildcat design quarterback run, and he does fake it and then runs left. He has running room outside across the 50 and taken across the boundary on the Michigan sideline, far side at the 46-yard line. So Orji, who came in for a couple of carries for 2 yards against Alabama, much more effective on this one for a 13-yard gain.
And it's starting to become a theme. Michigan is faking things up the middle, and then there's plenty of room on the outside where Washington continues to lose contain. That time they lose contain to the edge. They have Colson Loveland out in front.
He gets a hold from Drake Nugent, the center.
Yeah, he might have gotten away with the hold, like you said. Grabbed a lot of jersey from Latula Nasanoa.
Orji stays in at quarterback. They're moving around to either side of him. One running back on either side. Wilson in motion left to right. They fake a handoff to Edwards, and it's Orji straight ahead for 2. Between the hash marks to the 44-yard line of Washington. Michigan leading 17-3 with 6:13 of the clock running remaining here in the second quarter. J.J. McCarthy comes back in, and a hand for Orji as he goes off after a couple of carries for 15 yards combined. Out of the pistol now, McCarthy turns and hands it to Corum, running right. He's tripped up immediately by the cornerback Jabbar Muhammad. A gain of 1 to the 43, and Muhammad is still on the field, lying on his back. And they can't afford to lose him. Outstanding cornerback, a junior, but thinking about going into the NFL draft after this game.
In quite a bit of pain, too. He came up from the cornerback spot, and he tackles Corum right at the line of scrimmage, but immediately grabs at his right shoulder. That's what initiated the contact. So they're evaluating him, but potentially a massive loss. Their best cover guy on the perimeter down, writhing in a lot of pain.
As they tend to him, let's pause 10 seconds for station identification. You're listening to the College Football Playoff National Championship presented by AT&T on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app presented by Wendy's. Great teachers investing more than $4 million in education. Tonight, the CFP Foundation, ESPN, and the bowl season have contributed an additional $400,000 to support under-resourced schools across the country through the Touchdown for Teachers initiative, in which more than 300 teachers have been supported in the program's inaugural year. College Football Playoff Executive Director Bill Hancock, ESPN Chairman Jimmy Pitaro, joined on the field tonight by teachers and students from Houston area schools. A great program and supporting teachers here tonight. Michigan leading Washington 17-3. Muhammad on his feet and walking off under his own power. Greg, Michigan ultra impressive, particularly on the ground game, 204 yards rushing.
It's been remarkable, and the offensive line has done a great job. I'm more surprised, though, that the safeties and the second-level players for Washington, they're not really doing a good job of seeing what's going on in the backfield. Now, Michigan and Sharon Moore, the offensive coordinator, they do a great job of using motion, misdirection, but they really have allowed a lot of seams in the run game. And then conversely, on the other side, I'm really surprised at how much Washington has struggled in protection. They haven't really allowed any time downfield. The one time they did, Michael Penix missed that throw, so they got to hold up in protection. But right now, Michigan is dominating on both lines of scrimmage.
I think one of the things you wonder about, the great pass defense numbers for Michigan, 150 yards per game allowed through the air, second best in the country. My thought is 5 of the top 10 teams in the country in pass defense are in the Big Ten. And part of that, obviously, is there are not a lot of good throwing teams in the Big Ten. But they legitimately look like one of the best pass defense teams in the country tonight against the best passing attack in the nation.
Yeah, I think if you were to talk to Washington's coaching staff, they would tell you they haven't seen receivers like we have. And I think that was a matchup they thought they would be able to win, but it doesn't matter how good your wideouts are if you can't block the guys up front. to allow those guys plenty of time to separate against this excellent defense. But the defensive back's best friend is the pass rush, and that's really been what's dominating the game.
Here comes third down for Michigan. Third down and 8. They're at the Washington 44. Ball just inside the right hash mark. They're going from left to right. They're 0 for 2 on third down, but the only thing that's gone wrong for their offense. Washington crowds the line of scrimmage. 7 men right along the line. Now 3 back out. And that leaves 4 linemen, 3 of them down in a stance. McCarthy moved up to the line for some signals. Now claps. Loveland goes in motion to the left. The handoff is up the middle to Donovan Edwards. And he drives inside the 40 to the 39, leaving 4th down and 3. And what will Jim Harbaugh do? I would think the way they've dominated on the ground game, you'd go for it, wouldn't you?
Well, you would, but at the same time, if you punt it and pin them inside the 10, the likelihood, given how well your defense has played, of getting the ball back with good field position and a fresh set of downs might actually increase the probability of being successful.
I don't know. I think you have them on the ropes. I know, they play a fairly conservative brand of football. They've been dominating on the ground. Doman, the punter. Of course, this is the part of the field that you had a fake. It might not be a bad idea. Giles Jackson is back deep. There was a timeout called by Michigan before the snap. You wonder if Jim is rethinking this. Each team with 1 timeout left.
Especially considering a moment ago, I mean, Doman landed his last punt 3 or 4 yards into the end zone, so clearly his distance control hasn't been great up to this point. Granted, 0 for 1, but either way, if nothing else, maybe put your offense out there, see if you can't draw them off sides, and then take a 5-yard penalty to give your punter a little bit more room.
Of course, the college football world's known about Jim Harbaugh, long-time MVP of the Big Ten, as the quarterback of Michigan back in 1986, first-round draft pick, long career in the NFL, and a distinguished coaching career. The country just getting to know Kalen DeBoer, the Washington coach, in his 2nd season, 25-2. And in 9 seasons as a head coach at his alma mater, University of Sioux Falls, Fresno State, and Washington, he is 104-11. Won 3 NAIA national titles at Sioux Falls in 5 years, and now trying to win the FBS national championship at age 49. And the offense does come back on the field for Michigan. And they're going to go for it on 4th down and 3. They substitute, so now Washington sends a late sub on, and they're given time to complete the substitution. McCarthy in the gun. He has Corum on his left. 2 receivers tight to either side. He claps his hands, takes the snap, throws short, and it is incomplete. Off the hands of Roman Wilson along the near sideline with Ulufosio in coverage. It was a quick set by McCarthy, and he fired a bullet to the near sideline off the hands of Wilson and incomplete, and Washington takes over on downs.
Terrific play by Ulufosio. He's in zone coverage. He starts out pretending as if he's going to blitz. He runs immediately to the flat, takes a great angle, and gets his right arm out in front to break up the pass. Terrific play by the linebacker.
He was covering a wide receiver in Roman Wilson. Big playmaker for Michigan. So here comes Washington. They've been badly outplayed. If they can march down the field and score a touchdown here, it'd be a 1-score game. Out of the shotgun, Penix. Best starting field position for Washington, and Dylan Johnson on 1st down. Had a nice hole off the left side as he maneuvered to the 45 for a gain of 6. And seems to be running a little bit better, even on that pass to him on the last possession. For 15 yards, he was running without a noticeable limp. Westover resets at the left end of the line. 2 wide receivers to either side. Penix out of the gun. No running back. From the left hash mark, a short set by Penix and a quick throw to Westover, the tight end, for a 1st down to the Michigan 45-yard line. Caught along the numbers on the near side to Washington's left. Westover, an important part of this team. They go quickly without a huddle. He's one of 9 sixth-year seniors playing for Washington tonight. Here's a handoff to Dylan Johnson out of the gun, running left for very little. He got 2 and was tackled by Michael Barrett, 6th-year linebacker for Michigan, playing in his school record 64th game. That's what happens when you keep getting to the postseason. The conference championship game. They're in the college football playoff for the 3rd straight year. advanced to the championship game for the first time. Will Nixon, the running back, on 2nd and 8, 3:25 to go in the half. Nixon went in motion to the right. The throw is over the middle to Odunze. He has it, and he's inside the 35 for a first down to the 34. Ran into one of his own linemen and still got 9. Makari Page made the tackle. It was as if Odunze didn't realize when he caught the ball that there was nobody around him. He kind of stutter stepped for a moment, then collided with Julius Bulow, the right guard. They're on the move with 3 minutes to go in the half. 17-3 Michigan. From the 34, just inside the left hash mark, Penix with Nixon, the running back, to his left. Penix dumps it short for Westover. A lot of running room inside the 25, and then he stood up and driven down at the 23. But it's an 11-yard gain on the completion to the senior from Bellevue, Washington, Westover.
And Washington finding some success by changing the tempo a little bit. They went hyper speed for a moment. That time they're looking back. They quick snap it, keeping Michigan on their heels just a little bit by changing up the rhythm of the game.
First and 10, 2:22 to go. The shotgun fake to Nixon. A throw in the left flat is incomplete in the direction of Jalen Polk. He was well covered there by Makari Page, and even if he caught it, it might have been for a loss. 17-3 Michigan, 2:17 to go. Each team with 1 timeout left here in the half. This will be the 7th play of the drive for the Huskies. Will Nixon remains the running back. He's on the right side of Penix. In motion to the right goes Odunze. The tight ends and Nixon shift to the left. The strength is the left, no running back. Penix moves up out of the gun to say Sonny to the line. Single coverage out wide for Odunze. The snap to Penix. He lobs it up for Odunze, who was stumbling as the ball went well over his head. Washington crowd wants a penalty on Josh Wallace. They had that matchup, single coverage to their right, and Odunze just stumbled down.
Yeah, he just slipped as he was trying to make his release. Wallace in press coverage, tried to run a fade route. Penix threw the fade route, but Odunze couldn't keep his feet to stay on the move.
3rd down and 10. They're at the 23-yard line of Michigan. Wolverines leading 17-3, 2:13 in the half. Penix out of the gun, Nixon on his left hip. 3 receivers to the right. Widest is Westover, the tight end who came in motion. Penix drops back, throws, incomplete. There's a flag. He was trying to get it to Jalen McMillan, who was tangled up outside the near numbers, inside the 10-yard line, tangled up with Mikey Sainristil.
Pass interference, defense, number 0, 15-yard penalty, first down.
Michigan crowd doesn't like it. That'll extend the drive for Washington on 3rd down and 10. The first Michigan penalty gets walked all the way inside the 10 to the 7.5-yard line.
Man coverage as they try to get McMillan on an over route to the front left pylon. And it was very clear Mikey Sainristil grabbed that jersey with his right hand, and it was an obvious call there on 3rd and 10.
1st and goal from just inside the 8. Out of the shotgun, Penix. Major shifting, including Johnson to his right hip. Tight end Westover to the right, and 3 receivers outside him. Snap to Penix, hand off to Johnson, running right, breaks a tackle behind the line of scrimmage, got down to the 5-yard line for a gain of 3, and we go under 2 minutes to go in the half. And Washington outgained to this point 264 to 156. Poised to make it a 1-score game if they can punch it in.
You don't need to be in a hurry. You absolutely don't want to give the ball back to Michigan with their explosiveness so far tonight, with any time to steal some points of their own. So take that play clock all the way down.
It's at 15 as they line up. They flip it to Johnson running right, and he stopped at the line of scrimmage. They went quickly out of the huddle line, tried to catch Michigan off guard. Penix went under center. It was a toss sweep to the right. And now Michigan uses its final timeout. Jim Harbaugh wants the ball back. Makari Page, a nice tackle on Dylan Johnson.
The right
Sorry, go ahead, Greg.
Right guard Julius Bulow just gets completely blown up as he pulls out and around. And Makari Page goes underneath him and collides with Dylan Johnson. A terrific play there. It looked like there was some room and there might be a play to be had, but Page completely blows it up and stops the run for a short gain.
And they're sticking with Johnson despite right and left leg injuries, both of them bandaged. He has 9 carries for just 26 yards, under 3 yards per carry, after he averaged just more than 2 yards per carry against Texas, but scored twice. Michigan, the second best red zone defense in the country. Their opponents score only 70% of the time when inside the 20. Only Louisville was better. They've given up only 16 touchdowns from inside the red zone all year. Washington's 2 out of 6 on third down. They're on the right hash mark. 3 receivers, 2 to the left. Out of the gun, Penix. Johnson on his right. The snap to Penix. Designed run for him. Following Johnson, and nothing doing. Interesting play call. Boy, that's a lot to ask Michael Penix to run for 5 yards behind an ailing running back. Chris Jenkins made the tackle, and now Kalen DeBoer with a decision to make on 4th down and goal. Down by 14 and leaves the offense on the field. All the weapons they have, I think that's a strange call, Greg.
Yeah, I agree. Just quarterback sweep. I mean, Penix only has 20 or so odd carries on the year. Not a guy that lives with his legs. His accuracy is what got them to this point. Trust that.
Feels like they need to score here. In the final minute of the half, down 17-3. Penix out of the gun. Johnson on his left hip. 3 receivers, 2 wide to the left. Penix takes the snap. Pump fakes. Throws. Touchdown. Back of the end zone. There is a flag down. It's Jalen McMillan who made the catch. But there is a flag at the goal line. McMillan doing a dance, but we have to sort out the flag. Roma Dunze, who's nearest the referee, Marcus Woods, is pointing toward Michigan as if to say it's against the Wolverines.
Holding, defense, number 2. That penalty decline. Result of the play is the touchdown.
On the terrific cornerback, Will Johnson, the sophomore from Detroit. His dad, Dion, was a defensive back at Michigan. So they had to have it on 4th and goal from the 3, and they got it. Penix, the touchdown pass. And McMillan, the reception, his 5th touchdown receiving of the year. He's played in just 7 games. Grady Gross for the extra point, make it a 7-point game. And it is up and good. Out of the hold of Jack McAllister, the snap from Jaden Green.
Terrific protection that time, too, from the Washington Husky offensive line. Penix understands he's going to have to get rid of the ball quickly, but there on 4th down, he initially looked in the direction of Roma Dunze. He's double covered. There's a safety over the top, and Will Johnson's underneath. So it took him a little time to come all the way back over the middle, scan the field where McMillan was running free right between the G and the T in Washington in the end zone. He throws it perfectly where it needs to be thrown, and that was a massive answer for Washington to get a touchdown on the board to close this gap.
And they'll get the ball to start the 3rd quarter. They went 61 yards in 11 plays, 4:01 off the clock. They've had a knack for winning the close ones all season long. McMillan Jr. from Fresno, California. Played in the first 3 games of the year, 20 catches. And then had a knee injury, didn't return until the regular season finale against Washington State. They have 6 first downs in this quarter to 1 for Michigan. The kickoff is fair caught by Samaj Morgan at the 3-yard line. So 42 seconds to go for Michigan and no timeouts. And we'll see how Jim Harbaugh elects to play it.
I would anticipate them being a little conservative here. I mean, they've dominated both lines of scrimmage. There's really no need to take any risk here. And
try to run, right? See if you can pop another big run.
One. Yeah, if you gash one, then absolutely. Then you go into high-octane mode if you get it out near the 40. But this part of the field backed up, it feels really risky to go for it.
Donovan Edwards is the running back out of the shotgun. McCarthy ball on the left hash mark. They're going left to right. Back to pass McCarthy over the middle. That's Colston Loveland up the middle of the field, and the tight end all the way out to the Michigan 45-yard line. He got 19. Carson Brunner made the tackle. The clock stops to move the chains. 37 seconds to go for Michigan. Longest field goal of the year for Turner is 50 yards. Snap to the shotgun, McCarthy to the far sideline, caught by Cornelius Johnson, and he stayed in bounds. He was right on the sideline, but didn't get out of bounds. Elijah Jackson kept him in at the 50-yard line. But the clock runs down to 17 and ticking, and McCarthy just spikes it into the ground as he went under center. So it'll be 3rd down and 3 Michigan, 16 seconds to go in the half. And they're at the 49-yard line of the Washington Huskies. Big miss by Johnson. He tried to break the tackle. He should have just caught it and got out of bounds when he had a chance.
And it was a pretty good job, too, by Jackson attacking the outside hip and kind of forcing him back inside. Well playing on the technique.
Michigan's 0 for 3 on 3rd down. McCarthy's 5 out of 10 passing for 81. They've rushed for 209. He's in the gun. Donovan Edwards on his left side. Takes the snap, retreats, throws far sideline, too high. Way wide of Cornelius Johnson along the Michigan sideline. And it's 4th down and 3. 12 seconds to go. Jim Harbaugh with the decision. If you go for it and get stopped, you're going to give Penix a chance to fire a couple toward the end zone. But the offense is still out there for Michigan. Both teams are substituting. Jim Harbaugh barking into the headset, talking to his staff. They're trying to make sure they're going to do the right thing. They better do it quickly. The play clock is 10 and running. And they don't look like they're going to snap it again. Might just let it run out and send the punt team on. And that's what happens. They never even lined up in formation. And the Michigan fans don't like it.
5-yard penalty. 4th down.
So they give Doman, the punter, a little bit more room.
It is worth noting, too, Washington did muff a punt in the game against Texas, so maybe that's fresh in their memory, and there were plenty of punt fielding issues in the Rose Bowl game as well.
Samaj Morgan muffed one that led to an Alabama score, the first play of the game. Bernard's muff punt against Texas led to a Longhorn score. He's not back deep. It is Giles Jackson, the Michigan transfer, standing at his own 8. Second punt for Doman, junior from West Bloomfield, Michigan. And it bounces inside the 10 and it's going to roll down to the 2. Nicely done. 52-yard punt by Doman. And now Kalen Board talking to Michael Penix as he's about to take the field. Just don't get tackled for a safety. With 3 seconds to go on their own 2-yard line. Penix 13 for 21 for 128 and a touchdown pass. In just 2 years at Washington, he's 3rd all-time in touchdown passes with 67. Jake Browning 94, Keith Price 75, the only 2 ahead of him. And the university has churned out a lot of terrific quarterbacks. He's under center, and he takes a knee at the 1-yard line. That'll end the half. Looked like Michigan might run away for a while. They led 17-3, had some chances to build the lead. Under Harbaugh, Michigan is 77-6 when leading at the half. They lead 17-10 at the halftime of this national championship game. Now here's Mark Kestisher in the studio with the college football halftime report.
All right, Sean, as you pointed out, Michigan looked like they would run away with it, decided not to punt at 4 minutes or so to go in the game. Washington took advantage. Michigan with 290 yards in the first half, 209 on the ground, but Washington only down a touchdown. Trevor Maddich will join me in studio. He is getting ready to break down this first half coming up next. Halftime, Michigan 17, Washington 10. This is the College Football Playoff National Championship presented by AT&T on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
You're listening to the College Football Playoff National Championship presented by AT&T on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app.
And we welcome you to the College Football Live Halftime Report with Trevor Maddich. I'm Mark Kestisher. 2 quarters in the books. Michigan, a touchdown lead over Washington. Could have been a wider gap. Feels like it should be a wider gap. The Huskies down 7, and they will receive the second half's opening kickoff. Let's take Trevor Maddich through these first half highlights, get his take on half number 1. Michigan got the ball to start the game. Trevor, an 8-play drive. J.J. McCarthy was actually sacked at the Washington 41, and then enter Donovan Edwards, a career-low 3 touchdown runs coming into this carry.
Snap to McCarthy, handoff to Edwards, bounces off a pile and breaks free. Outside of the 30, the 25, the 20, down the sideline, and he scores. 41 yards, Donovan Edwards.
We've been wondering where Donovan Edwards was. Remember, he filled in for Blake Corum when he got injured late last year. Wasn't much of a factor this year. Heck of a run.
Two things happened on this. The first one was he ran right up the middle, and Washington stuffed it. He actually ran into the back of one of his blockers. Problem for Washington was that too many of their guys flew inside to stop that inside run. And when Edwards bounced out to the left, there was nobody left out there. The other problem was that Michigan's blockers just dominated. They didn't get the push in the middle, but they were all over the defenders of Washington. The defenders of Washington were stuck on the blocks, and they couldn't pursue when Edwards bounced out to the left.
7-0 Michigan leading Washington's first offensive series. We were wondering how close Dillon Johnson could be to being a full runner at 100% after he went down with the knee and the ankle and the foot. First run, 6 yards. Didn't see him for a while. Came back in, but doesn't have his explosiveness, at least here in this first half.
No, he's had chances as a runner and as a receiver to catch the ball or to take the handoff and burst to where the open field was. And he didn't have that burst. There was one run in particular, it was up the middle, and he had a big gap over to the right, just right there. One gap over, and he couldn't get there.
No, so Washington did have an elongated 14-play drive, but had to settle for a 25-yard field goal. Michigan still leading 7-3. Second Michigan series, they got it down to the 46-yard line, and once again, Mr. Donovan Edwards.
Strong side of the formation is the left. They go out of the pistol, and it's a handoff to Donovan Edwards, who breaks free again to his right. He's going to go again. 2 carries and 2 touchdowns for Donovan Edwards. This one, 46 yards.
Donovan Edwards' longest run this year, Trevor, was 22 yards coming into this game. 41 on a touchdown, and right there, 46 on a touch.
And it was the exact same situation as his earlier long touchdown, except it went to the other way. He ran inside, ran into a pile. The entire Washington defense went inside to that pile, and when Edwards burst to the right this time, once again, there was no Washington defender out there to stop it.
14-3 Michigan. Washington went 3 and out, punted away, and on the last play of the first quarter, Blake Corum ran up for 59 yards, so 174 rushing yards in the first quarter. We go to the second. James Turner kicks a field goal. The Wolverines have a 17-3 lead, and credit the Michigan defense. Texas got pressure against Michael Penix, but he was able to complete passes to the tune of 60%. He was 0 to this point in the second quarter and missed a golden opportunity at the Michigan 47.
4-man rush. Penix back to pass. Throws as a man wide open, and it's incomplete. Odunze was wide open on the far side at the 15-yard line, and Penix, with his remarkable downfield accuracy, just kind of missed him.
Yeah, and you were talking about throughout that drive, it looked like what Arizona State did against Washington earlier this year. A lot of confusion that Michigan, they've confused it up against Penix, at least to that point in the first half.
Right, they watched that Arizona State tape where the Sun Devils held Washington's offense without a single touchdown. Washington won that game because their own defense scored a touchdown, and then they got some field goals. But in watching that tape, what Michigan saw was that Arizona State showed a lot of looks pre-snap. They would show blitz, and then sometimes they'd come, sometimes they'd bail. They'd show no blitz, then sometimes they'd come, and sometimes they'd stay soft. And this is one of the things that Michigan's defense is doing to great effect to Michael Penix in this game.
So that incompletion turned it over on downs, 10:27 to go in the half. Michigan with a 2-touchdown lead, and then Michigan's offense went silent. Punted their next possession away. Washington went 3 and out. And then an interesting call. Michigan 4th and 2 at the Husky 39. Could have punted away with 4:43 to go. Opted to go for it. Incomplete. Turned it over on downs.
Right, and the thing is that was just sort of clock mismanagement at the end. They threw a pass to wide receiver Cornelius Johnson on the left sideline, and instead of stepping out of bounds with no time left, he tried to make a play, got tackled right there inbounds, so they had to spike it. And that's why they ended up with that early 4th down.
And then Washington looked like Washington. 10-yard pass to Jack Westover, tight end, first target of the day. 9 to Odunze, 11 to Westover. Got a pass interference call against San Steele on a 3rd and 10. They got it inside the 10-yard line. 4th and goal. Big play here late first half for the Huskies at the Michigan 3.
Feels like they need to score here in the final minute of the half. Down 17-3. Penix out of the gun. Johnson on his left hip. 3 receivers, 2 wide to the left. Penix takes the snap, pump fakes, throws, touchdown! Back of the end zone, there is a flag down. It's Jalen McMillan who made the catch.
Flag on Michigan, touchdown stood, huge score for the Huskies.
Huge score. Penix wanted Roma Dunze on the right side. 2 problems. 1, they double covered him. 2, they held him. It should have been a flag, and maybe that was one of the things that was called. But then the offensive line of Washington gave him enough time for his other receiver, Jalen McMillan, to start on the left, go to the back of the end zone, then cut all the way across to the right. And because of that extra time afforded to Penix by his protection, he then threw that touchdown pass.
So Washington only down 7. Michigan will kick the ball to Washington to start the third quarter, 17-10 at half. Today's trivia question is brought to you by Dr. Pepper. Jim Harbaugh's in his 13th season as an FBS head coach. Should Michigan win tonight, he would be the first to win his first national title that late into a head coaching career since whom? That's the question. Brought to you by Dr. Pepper. It's not college football season without the delicious taste of an ice-cold Dr. Pepper, the one fans deserve. Michigan by a single touchdown over Washington at half in Houston. Coming up on the College Football Halftime Report, Trevor will give us a look ahead to the second half. We'll hear from both coaches as well. You're listening to the College Football Playoff National Championship presented by AT&T on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
You're listening to the College Football Playoff National Championship presented by AT&T on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app.
Alongside Trevor Maddich, I'm Mark Kestisher. Halftime in Houston for the title. Michigan 17, Washington 10. Sean McDonough, Greg McElroy, Ian Fitzsimmons, Chris Budden. Our second half call coming up in just a bit, and Washington will receive the second half kick. We'll hear from both head coaches in a moment, but first, let's look ahead to the second half with Trevor. Washington had the momentum, Trevor, going into halftime. What do they need to do here in the second half?
They need to stop trying to be Michigan so much. Their longest play is a 16-yard pass to Roma Dunze, and that was on a bubble screen. So it was basically caught behind the line of scrimmage, and it was a long run. They need to start to get the ball downfield. I get it that Michigan's pass rush is bothering Penix, not just from a mental standpoint, but from a physical standpoint. They are disrupting his ability to throw that ball accurately when they get pressure on him. They've gotten pressure on him quite a bit in the first half. Even so, if Washington can't figure out a way to get that ball pushed down the field to the wide receivers, they're not going to win this game because Michigan is better than Washington at being Michigan.
Was that a slight adjustment, that last drive, going underneath 10 yards over the middle?
Well, that's part of it because the running game for Washington is going nowhere right now. And so to get the Michigan safeties to come up, they need to continue to do what they had some success at in the first half, which is different kinds of screens. They're very creative with how they run screens and different points of attack, out wide, in the alley, up the middle. They had one fantastic creative screen where Roma Dunze, the wide receiver, lined up wide to the right, and then he ran inside to take a screen in the middle with the offensive line. Normally you do that with a running back from the backfield. They need to do more of that to draw up the safeties, but at the same time, they need to get the ball pushed down the field because this is not a good grind-out, long drive touchdown offense.
Yeah, those pressure numbers for Penix against Michigan, 2 for 7. He had missed on his first 5. He was 10 for 17 against Texas. Let's swing it over to Michigan. The running game has been huge. Edwards, 93 yards on 3 carries. Corum with 84 yards on 8 carries. J.J. McCarthy, 5 of 11. Do any of those incompletions concern you?
Not really. He had a couple of throws that looked like bad throws, but to me it seemed more like he was trying to do the safe thing, where he could have threaded it in there and he decided to throw it a bit too high or a bit too far outside, that kind of a thing. He didn't mind having the incompletion in return for not putting the ball at risk. Remember that in the playoff game against TCU last year, he threw 2 pick sixes, and that was the difference in the game. And on the first play of the playoff game against Alabama, he threw what would have been an interception, but the defensive back for Alabama was just out of bounds. So I think he's being careful.
And we'll see if Michigan can continue to dominate on both sides of the line. Offensive line and defensive line was tremendous for Michigan in the first half.
Oh, they have been. And that offensive line for Michigan, the Washington defensive line and linebackers are stuck on the blocks. They have now invested, Michigan has, in pounding the ball. They need to pay it off now.
All right, we're going to hear from both head coaches. This is from the ESPN television broadcast. Molly McGrath with Coach DeBoer of Washington in a moment. We start with Holly Rowe and Jim Harbaugh.
Coach Harbaugh, an aggressive decision to go for it on 4th down. What went into it?
That's right. You know, it's playing the percentages. They played great defense. We didn't quite get it done and put our defense in a bad spot there. But we got to get the momentum back now.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you.
Molly?
Coach, how do you continue this momentum when you get the ball to start the second half?
Yeah, it's just doing what we've done all year. We took some of their best punches early, and now we've kind of settled in. The defense has kind of got it, I think, things figured out. Great drive by our offense right there. We get the ball to start the third quarter, so in a great spot.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Yeah, thank you.
There you go, 2 unbeatens, second half to go. Will it be enough? 2 more quarters? We'll find out. Michigan 17, Washington 10. We'll have our second half call from Houston coming up next. This is the College Football Playoff National Championship presented by AT&T on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
You're listening to the College Football Playoff National Championship presented by AT&T on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app.
Trevor Matich, I'm Mark Kestisher in the studio. Full reaction to the national championship game with Evan Cohen, Chris Canty, and Michelle Smallman on Unsportsmanlike weekdays from 6 to 10 a.m. Eastern, followed by Greeny until noon on ESPN Radio. 15th game of the year, 15th halftime lead for Michigan, but Washington took momentum into halftime for the second half call. Let's get you back to Houston with Ian Fitzsimmons and Chris Budden on the sidelines alongside Greg McElroy. Here's Sean McDonough.
All right, Kesty, team's back on the field. That is an amazing note. Were Michigan to win tonight, they would be the first team to lead the half of every game of the season and win the national championship since Miami did it in 2001. And Greg, it looked like they might run away. They led 17-3, 2 touchdowns and a field goal on their first 3 drives, 235 yards of offense, most of it on the ground. But then the 3 straight possessions without scoring and only 50 yards of offense.
Yeah, and Washington did a really good job adjusting defensively in those final 3 possessions. Their safeties got very involved, very aggressive. The linebackers did a much better job in their fits, and they tackled in the open field when the opportunity presented itself. So makes me think Sharon Moore offensively is probably going to dial up a big play action, throw it over the top. If those safeties continue to get nosy, they're going to have to take a couple shots downfield to talk them out of getting so involved in the run game.
Michigan ran for 174 yards in the first quarter, the most in any first quarter in 9 years under Jim Harbaugh. Their second most in any quarter under the coach. They had just 35 yards rushing in the second quarter. Washington for the game has 16 carries for 32 yards, averaging 2 yards per carry. The total yards were 290 for Michigan, 160 for Washington, the second lowest yardage total of the half this season for the Huskies. But they're going to get the opening kickoff of the second half, trailing by only 7. It's 17-10. Both teams now come out onto the field for the half. And 209 yards allowed rushing by Washington, the most they've allowed in the first half since October 2011 against Stanford. They gave up 247 in the first half to the Andrew Luck-led Stanford Cardinal. Tommy Doman kicking off for Michigan from our left to our right. The ball on the near hash marks of the 35. It's an end over end kick, and it'll be another touchback. Here's Ian Fitzsimmons on the Washington sideline. All right, we're having difficulty with Ian's mic. We'll try to get to him in a moment. So here comes Washington. Unusual first half for them as they struggled for most of the half on offense. Penix 13-21, 128 and a touchdown. The late touchdown to get them back in the game to Jalen McMillan. Tybo Rogers is the running back out of the gun. Penix. Rogers shuffles to his left. Off the left hash mark, a pump fake and another, and then Penix hit as he throws. And it is intercepted, I believe. Yes, they're going to call it an interception on the near sideline by Will Johnson. Penix got hit as he threw it, and it was a flutter ball to the near sideline. Johnson, a head-first dive. It was hard to tell if he caught it in the air before it hit the ground, but the officials say yes. And Michigan takes over on the first turnover of the game.
And Penix a little greedy right there. He had Rome Odunze in the slot on a little 5-yard underneath route. Instead, he holds it for too long. Tries to force one really late down the field. It flutters like you referenced. And it's picked up by Johnson, who just barely corrals it as the ball's going to the ground.
And Tybo Rogers hit him from behind, tried to break it up, and Looked like Johnson just did get his arms underneath the football on the near sideline. And Penix limped off the field. He was hit on the throw. If it stands, it's the 4th interception of the year for Will Johnson, the sophomore from Detroit, and his 7th career interception. Jesse Minter, the defensive coordinator, told Johnson, this is a money game for you. Matched up against the Washington Huskies, an eye toward the draft someday. On first down, the handoff to Blake Corum. Dancing to the right for very little. Stacked up at the 30. And they'll mark it at the 29 forward progress. Penix still limping on the near sideline. Gain of 3 for Corum. Penix actually this time got bumped by his own man. Mason Graham drove the center. Parker Brailsford back into him. And Penix's leg, his right leg, twisted awkwardly. He's had 2 ACL surgeries that ended seasons when he was at Indiana. Out of the gun, Corum on the left side now, and he takes the handoff to a big hole off right guard, and he has a first down upended at the 16-yard line by Elijah Jackson, or it would have been a touchdown. That was reminiscent of the first quarter, a 13-yard run for Corum straight up the middle.
And a really decisive run by Corum, too. I mean, he hit that hole at 100 miles an hour right behind his right guard, Barnhart. There's a good tackle there by Jackson. If he doesn't make it, Corum's to the house.
We're looking at the right leg of Penix on the near sideline. 1st and 10 Michigan at the Washington 16 after the first turnover of the game, and a lot of movement before the snap and flags flying everywhere. Each team penalized twice in the first quarter.
All start. Offense. Everyone but the center. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Yeah, it looked like Drake Nugent, the fine center, transfer from Stanford, grad transfer in his first year at Michigan. He might have forgot the snap count. They move the ball back to the 21, between the hash marks, a little closer to the right than the left. Yeah, he just was late snapping the ball. Everybody else moving around him. J.J. McCarthy, 5 out of 11 for 81 yards passing. Out of the gun. Corum is the running back. They give it to Corum straight ahead. He ran into a pile and spun ahead for a couple to the 19. Edefuan Ulofoshio, the linebacker, made the tackle. Corum over 100 now, 11 carries for 102.
Linebackers playing much better these last few series for Washington. Ulofoshio has to play better than he did in the first 3 series. They were way out of position multiple times.
Michigan leading 17-10, 2 minutes into the third quarter. And in the red zone now. Huskies pointing. They think there was movement. Now here comes a flag from the official on the far side of the field. Looked like Trevor Keegan, the left tackle, the left guard, I should say, might have moved.
Ball start. Offense, number 73. 5-yard penalty.
They caught on Ladarius Henderson, the left tackle. First team All Big Ten in his first year at Michigan as a transfer from Arizona State.
And Washington moved right before the snap, which caused Henderson to flinch.
And Michigan, after the takeaway in reverse, they're now plus 18 for the year in turnover margin. Edwards in a running back. Shotgun snap to McCarthy, and his pass is batted down to the line of scrimmage. Tuli Nasanoa knocked it down. The 6th-year senior from Concord, California, one of 9 6th-year players playing their final game for Washington tonight. He did a good job getting his hands in the air, getting off the block of Trevor Keegan. Michigan is 0 for 4 on 3rd down, and this is the longest 3rd down play. 3rd and 18 at the Washington 24. Donovan Edwards, the running back, on the right hip of McCarthy out of the gun. 3 receivers to the left. McCarthy back to pass, under pressure. Throws short, caught by Colston Lovell, the tight end, but for a little gain. They'll give him forward progress to the 20-yard line for a pickup of 4, and Jim Harbaugh will send the field goal team out trying to get back ahead by 2 scores.
And Chuck Morrell, the defensive coordinator, they're doing a lot of movement up front now. This time bringing pressure off the right-hand side. Jacob Lane beats the right tackle, Trente Jones, and delivers a hit and forces the ball out of McCarthy's hand quickly.
It'll be a 38-yard field goal try for James Turner. 1 for 1 tonight, made one from 31. This just inside the left hash mark. We're indoors, and the kick is straight down the middle. Snap, hold, and kick all perfect. And it's a 2-score lead again for Michigan. They get 3 off the interception thrown by Penix. 11:55 to go in the third quarter. Michigan 20, Washington 10. You're listening to the College Football Playoff National Championship presented by AT&T on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app presented by Wendy's.
You're listening to the College Football Playoff National Championship presented by AT&T on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app.
Michigan 3 points off the interception thrown by Michael Penix, who looks like he will be able to go back into the game. It's 20-10 Michigan, 11:55 left in the third quarter. Let's check in on the Husky sideline. Here's Ian Fitzsimmons.
Well, watching Michael Penix behind the bench, yeah, it's his right ankle, but he waved trainers off as far as wrapping it. So you're right, Sean. He will be back in this game and ready to go. And then Kalen DeBoer coming out of halftime, head coach of the Huskies, told me defensively to start the game, our guys weren't playing sound fundamental football. Too much improvising and guys were out of position. We settled down in the second quarter, and I think you saw the difference. Offensively, he said, we just got to go out there and have some fun. And how do you do that? He said we got to hit it through explosive plays.
Sometimes that can happen in a big game. I think at TCU in the championship game last year against Georgia. You know, guys out of position all over the place. The coach is screaming at them, just do your job. Do what you did all year long. That might have been the problem for the Huskies to start the game, a little bit too amped up.
Very much so. I mean, the guys were all over the place and were falling for all the different eye violations that Sharon Moore was throwing at them in the run game with misdirection.
Doman to kick off. Tommy runs to it from the near hash mark on the 35. Another end-over-end touchback over the head of Daniel Ngata. So Washington will start at the 25-yard line. The interception thrown by Penix is 10th of the year as compared to 36 touchdowns. MVP of the Pac-12 title game against Oregon and the All-State Sugar Bowl. He hasn't been at his best tonight. Michigan has impacted him with the pass rush, and they have no running game with Johnson hobbled. They open with 5 wide receivers here. Now Johnson shifts back to the backfield and left hip of Penix out of the shotgun. 3 receivers to the right. Hand off to Johnson straight ahead. Patiently waited for a hole to open on the right. He slid forward 4 to the 29 where Kenneth Grant made the tackle.
Even after they motioned Johnson back into the backfield, only 5 defenders in the box for Michigan, just begging for them to hand the ball off.
2nd down and 6. Dylan Johnson remains the running back. Out of the shotgun, snap to Penix, quick throw to the left. It's caught on the outside by Roma Dunze up the near sideline. And out of bounds for the first down at the 37. They had a tight bunch of 3 wide receivers to the left of Penix. As soon as he caught the shotgun snap, he fired to the right. And Dunze got 8 and a first down.
And Washington's not going hyperspeed, but their tempo is throwing off a little bit of the rhythm of the pass rush. They're changing the snap count, and that's been pretty beneficial these last few series.
4 catches, 43 yards for Dunze, who set the single season receiving yardage mark at Washington this year. Out of the shotgun, Penix fakes the handoff to Johnson, sets up a little screen to the tight end, Devin Culp on the left. He breaks a tackle at his own 45, runs over a defender near midfield, and finally gets shoved out of bounds, and a flag thrown for a late hit by Michigan. It was right on the Washington sideline. The play got 14. They're going to add 15 onto it. Josh Wallace and Makari Page finally made the tackle on the big tight end.
Play, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, defense number 7, 15-yard penalty, first down.
They flag Makari Page for it. 16th catch of the year for the 6th-year senior from Spokane, Culp.
And Culp was fighting for some extra yardage, but he's way out of bounds, 3 or 4 yards, and Makari Page shoves him really, really aggressively, and that's what leads to the flag.
Whistles had already been sounding. The ball's on the 34 left hash mark. Michigan leading 20-10. 10.5 to go third quarter. Well, the Huskies on the move. Shotgun snap to Penix. Fakes a handoff. Throws over the middle. It's deflected and flutters incomplete. He's trying to get it to Jack Westover, the tight end, cutting from left to right along the 30-yard line. And Kenneth Grant, the sophomore from Merrillville, Indiana, nose tackle for Michigan, got a hand on it.
You can't get home, put your hands up, see if you can't tip the pass. Penix is a low release.
And it's a quick lineup for Washington. Penix out of the gun. Tybo Rogers, the running back, to his left. 3 receivers to the right. Westover to the left. It's an inside handoff to Rogers. Ahead for 2 along the near hash marks. Josiah Stewart and Mason Graham combined on the stop. Here's a 3rd down. They're right on the edge of field goal range for Grady Gross. They're at the 32. 3rd down. They're 2 out of 7 on 3rd down. This is 3rd and 8. Shotgun Penix, empty backfield. 2 receivers to the left. 2 tight ends in the game. Penix looking right. Throws over the middle, caught by Westover, but he swung down for a minimal gain. Good tackle by Josiah Stewart, the transfer from Coastal Carolina. They stopped it for a 4-yard gain. They're going to send the field goal unit on 4th down and 4. You like this decision?
I do. I think you have to at least come away with some points right here after a nice drive. Defense has stepped up in a big way, so points are no longer going to be at a premium, but that was a great play defensively. It looked like there was more room there to be had.
Grady Gross already made from 25. This will be from 45. Equidistant between the hash marks. His season long is 47. Has plenty of leg indoors. Snap and hold are good. Gross's kick is long enough, and it is good. Grady Gross has now made 8 field goals in a row when they matter most at the end of the season. And it's back to a 1-score game. 8:58 to go in the 3rd quarter. It's Michigan 20 and Washington 13. This is the College Football Playoff National Championship, presented by AT&T on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app, presented by Wendy's.
You're listening to the College Football Playoff National Championship, presented by AT&T on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app.
We welcome you back to Houston. We will pause 10 seconds for station identification. You're listening to the College Football Playoff National Championship, presented by AT&T on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app, presented by Wendy's. (20-13), Michigan leads. 8:58 to go, 3rd quarter. On the Michigan sideline, Chris Budden.
Sean, Jim Harbaugh told his team at halftime we had to get back to how we started that game, and that was taking momentum and staying with it. Need to be fast, physical, and have a better commitment to the run game in this second half, Sean.
And they had 235 yards of offense on their first 3 drives. The offense has stalled mightily since. Grady Gross, the kickoff from right to left as it teed up on the near hash marks. Soccer-style kicker runs to it, and the white-clad Huskies. And it'll be a touchback, went over the head of Samaj Morgan. Here comes Michigan. They've rushed for 227. They've passed for just 85 on 6 out of 13 for J.J. McCarthy. 26-1 is the starting quarterback at Michigan. The only quarterbacks all time at the FBS level with a better record as a starting quarterback, Chuck Ely of Toledo, 35-0 back in the late 60s and early 70s. Jimmy Harris of Oklahoma, 25-0 for those great Bud Wilkinson teams in the mid-50s. Jameis Winston also went 26-1. The same record as J.J. McCarthy. Coach Harbaugh says he's the best quarterback in Michigan history. And they move out of the pistol, and there's a running back on either side of McCarthy. Takes a shotgun snap, handed it off to Donovan Edwards, and he's out of bounds, running outside to the right for a gain of about 4.5. Stopped just shy of the 30 along the near sideline. Edwards had 2 touchdowns in the first half, of 46 and 41. His first 2 carries of the game. His season high was 52 yards against Penn State. He was immense late last year for Michigan when they were without Corm. Rushed for 216. in a win against Ohio State. He remains the running back out of the gun. He's to the right of McCarthy, 3 receivers to the left. Coming in motion and now going back. And here's a handoff up the middle to Edwards. Looked like he might break free, but he got shirt tackled at the 32 for a 4-yard gain by Dominique Hampton and Carson Bruner.
Great job by Bruner. He was on the blitz. He almost ran right past Edwards, who was working right between the guards, but he gets a hand on him, slows him down just enough to allow Hampton to clean it up.
So Edwards 5 carries for 101. They have 2 100-yard rushers in the game. Corum 102, Edwards 101. Here's 3rd down and short. 3rd and 2. They're on the right hash mark. Loveland in motion from right to left. Shotgun snap and a handoff, and down goes Corum at the 32-yard line. A loss on the play. It's Carson Bruner, whose dad played on the last national championship team, the only national championship team at Washington in 1991. Mark Bruner was a great tight end who wound up playing 14 years in the NFL.
And that was a terrific play, running right in front of Trevor Keegan, the left guard, and beating him at the point.
So Doman on the punt. Back deep is Giles Jackson. 3rd punt of the day for Tommy Doman. High kick, nose up, spiral. Jackson in traffic makes a contested fair catch at the 26-yard line, right between the hash marks. So Washington's been trailing all night long. A chance to get even when we come back. 6:58 to go in the 3rd quarter. Michigan 20, Washington 13. This is the College Football Playoff National Championship, presented by AT&T on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app, presented by Wendy's.
You're listening to the College Football Playoff National Championship presented by AT&T on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app.
Shaping up as a dandy in this final game of the college football season. 6:58 to go, 3rd quarter. Michigan leading 20-13. They had a 17-3 early lead. There'll be full reaction to this championship game with Evan Cohen, Chris Canty, and Michelle Smallman on Unsportsmanlike tomorrow morning from 6 to 10 a.m. Eastern, followed by Greeny until noon on ESPN Radio. Entertaining show is on their show this morning, as a matter of fact. Sean McDonough, Greg McElroy up in the booth. On the sidelines, Ian Fitzsimmons and Chris Budden. A host of celebrities here tonight, including Michael Jordan and Derek Jeter. We mentioned John Harbaugh's here. D'Amico Ryans is here, the head coach of the Houston Texans. This is their home stadium. What a year they've had. Won the AFC South. They'll be hosting a playoff game against the Cleveland Browns here on Saturday. This crowd is alive. Washington never trailed in the semifinal against Texas. Has not had the lead tonight. Down 17-3 at one point. The defense is stabilized. Here's Penix from his own 26 out of the shotgun. Dylan Johnson, the running back, on his right. Westover in motion from right to left. Snap to Penix, throws to Westover, caught near side, 31-yard line. He's taken down for a 5-yard gain, tackled by Keon Sabb.
They have to get some rhythm in the passing game, and these short underneath throws, Michigan's going to give those up all game long. Penix has to be willing to take it and not pass him up like he did when he threw the interception to Will Johnson.
Their longest play of the game is 16 yards. This is a team that had 181 pass plays of 10 yards or more from Michael Penix, most in the nation. Haven't been able to do anything downfield with this great receiver corps. Penix out of the gun, fakes a handoff to Johnson, throws it out wide to the right, caught by Jalen Polk, up the far hash marks and tackled at the 42. More than enough for the first down. Just a quick pop for an 11-yard gain and a good tackle by Rod Moore.
And these tunnel screens have been good for Washington all year. You get a very athletic offensive line out in front. That time Roger Rosengarten and Julius Bulow out in front. A nice gain for Polk.
Washington does not have a play longer than 16 yards. They have 8 plays of double digits, but all between 11 yards and 16. Out of the shotgun, Penix in motion. McMillan left to right. A fake to Tybo Rogers. A screen for McMillan. He got knocked down. The pass flutters out of bounds. Jalen Harrell collided with Jalen McMillan. And Penix threw it anyway. I think he just didn't even look over there. He just thought McMillan would be there, but he got upended by a rusher, Jalen Harrell, as he shed the block of the right tackle, Roger Rosengarten. So an incomplete pass. 5:37 to go, third quarter, 20-13 Michigan. 2nd and 10. Washington from their own 42. Near the right hash mark, out of the gun, Penix. 5 receivers. Westover in motion to the right. Penix, a long time to throw. Airs one out deep, looking for Polk along the near sideline, and it's too long near the 15-yard line of Michigan. Well covered by Josh Wallace. He was a question mark when the year started. The big question, who would be the corner opposite Will Johnson, and Wallace has really come along as the season's progressed.
And he's got a tall task tonight, playing way off coverage. They try to run in slot fade with the Dunze on the far side against Johnson, and Wallace working against Polk. Neither are open, and it's an airmail for another incompletion.
3rd down and 10 from their own 42. 2 for 8 on 3rd down. The Huskies 0 for their last 6. The running back is Johnson, out of the gun, Penix. Johnson's on his right side. Penix claps and gets the snap, and it's a false start. He clapped and the snap didn't come. Looks like Parker Brailsford was a little late on the snap. And it'll be a false start against Washington.
False start. Offense number 71. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
Nate Coleppo, the left guard, the junior from Renton, Washington. In a cleanly played game, very well officiated game by Marcus Woods and this ACC crew. Here because they're among the best in the country at what they do, and they've lived up to that tonight. 3rd down and 15. Will Nixon in at running back now. Tight bunch to the left, 3 receivers along the near hash marks. Nixon's on the right hip of Penix. Single receiver to the right is Odunze, in single coverage at least for the moment. Snap to Penix. Nixon stayed in the block for a moment. Now a deep throw down the field, and it is incomplete. A diving attempt by Odunze. They try to take advantage of that matchup that Jesse Minter said would be a key tonight. Will Johnson defending Odunze, and Johnson had excellent coverage.
Very good coverage. Johnson gets away with a little tug on the jersey with his left hand. Odunze ultimately gets behind him, but Penix throws it with not enough air underneath it and actually throws it a little too far to the right, which leads Odunze out of bounds. Had he caught it, it would have been a ridiculous catch, but just ran out of room on the right sideline.
He's made a lot of acrobatic catches, leads the country in contested catches. Penix just a little bit off in his accuracy. Here's the 3rd punt for McAllister, and another short kick. But he's living right tonight. He gets another tremendous bounce. It bounced around the 25-yard line. It's still rolling inside the 10 and down to the 7. Maybe he's trying to do that. Kind of like your driver. Hit it fat and hope for a long run down the fairway.
You don't have to draw a picture on the scorecard.
56-yard punt in the final analysis on the Washington side. Here is Ian Fitzsimmons.
I still have a visual of Greg's driver just going right down the fairway. Good image, boys. Look, it's a family affair down here on the Washington Huskies sideline. You've got royalty behind the bench right now, and Steve Entman and Lincoln Kennedy. That's about 700 pounds of just a mountain of man right there behind the bench. And again, Husky royalty, those two guys. And by the way, Entman is not ignoring the weight room to this day. That man lives on the bench press. Then you have Carson Bruner, had that big 3rd down stop, linebacker for the Huskies. He showed up today, guys, wearing his dad Mark's number 85 jersey that his dad wore in the 1992 Rose Bowl as a freshman tight end, and he scored a touchdown in that game. So when you look at this Husky bunch, and Kalen DeBoer has preached it all year long, we are a very tight group, and it's a family-led type atmosphere. That story of Carson Bruner walking in here in his dad's uni, it personifies it.
And that win in the 92 Rose Bowl was against Michigan, as Washington won the national championship. They split it that year with Miami, and of course the last time Michigan won a national title in '97, they split it with Nebraska. That punt by McAllister is a career-long 56 yards, one better than his previous best. So another chance for Washington to try to stop this Michigan offense. What does Michigan have to do to get the offense back?
They have to get running downhill. I mean, a couple times they tried to run to the perimeter, and Washington's athleticism can match up with that. What they couldn't do early on, though, was kind of hold up at the point of attack. I would expect heavy dose of Blake Corum here early in this drive, backed up, bad field position, but at some point they have to play action and take a shot downfield. These safeties are getting really aggressive from Washington, understandably so. So at some point, Sharon Moore is going to have to take the governor off the offensive passing game and throw a shot.
They have rushed for 234, and most of that was early. They do have Corum 101 yards and Edwards 101 yards rushing. They are the third pair of teammates to rush for 100 or more each in a college football playoff game. This is the 30th game in the history of the CFP. Nick Chubb and Sony Michel, not a bad duo for Georgia in the 2018 semis against Oklahoma. Wayne Gallman and Deshaun Watson of Clemson in the 2015 semis, also against Oklahoma. They all ran for 100 plus. Worst starting field position for Michigan from its own 7 on the left hash mark, moving from left to right here in the third quarter, which has 5:11 remaining. Wolverines scored on the opening drive, and they have led throughout, led by as much as 17-3. It's 20-13 now. J.J. McCarthy out of the shotgun. Blake Corum, the running back, shifts to the right side of J.J. Washington showing pressure from McCarthy's right. It's a handoff to Corum, dancing around to the line of scrimmage and nowhere to go. Driven back by a fired up Husky defense. No gain on the play for Corum, who's had a historic career at Michigan, a school record 56 career rushing touchdowns. Second down and 10 from the 7-yard line, still on the left hash. Michigan huddles and breaks the huddle with 3 wide receivers, 2 to the right. No yards for Corum on his last 3 rushes. They'll try him again up the middle, and he slams into the defensive line, perhaps a yard or 2. They're going to mark it just shy of the 9-yard line. They'll give him 2 officially. It's 3rd down and 8. Michigan is 0 for 6 on 3rd down.
You got to be looking at Roman Wilson here. He's only got 1 catch tonight, but has provided the biggest spark in the passing game all season long.
They've just targeted him twice. McCarthy is 6 for 13 for 85 yards. He has Donovan Edwards now in the game. Out of the shotgun, McCarthy in trouble near the goal line. Takes off, running up the middle, and has a first down. He's still on his feet across the 30, and has a first down at the 32. Boy, he dropped back to the goal line and looked like he was stressed with nowhere to go. Finally found a big seam right up the left hash marks. Avoided a tackle at about the 20-yard line. And finally got taken down by Dominique Hampton after a 22-yard gain. A huge play when it looked like they might have to punt from their own end zone. 22 yards, first 3rd down conversion. On 1st down now, a play fake by McCarthy, a design quarterback sweep for him. And he has another double-digit run around the left end and out of bounds, far sideline at the 43-yard line. Good block on the left side by Colston Loveland, the tight end from Gooding, Idaho.
And this might be the change of pace for Sharon Moore. Washington completely selling out against the run, following Corum and Edwards everywhere they go. So now you pull on the zone read. J.J. McCarthy gets to the edge and finds another nice gain with his legs.
40 rushes for a first down over the last 2 years for McCarthy, most among Big Ten quarterbacks. They're on the left hash mark. 1st and 10 at their own 43. Under center, McCarthy tosses it back to Edwards on a little sweep, and he gets to the 46 for a pickup of 3. And we're down to 2:20 to go in the 3rd quarter, and the clock running, and Michigan leading Washington 20-13 in this national championship game.
Sharon Moore probably making note of where the safeties were and their pre-snap alignment right there. The deepest player on Washington's defense that time, probably 7 yards downfield. So those safeties really getting nosy. With 1 more first down, I would anticipate a shot.
They've leaned heavily on the run, 28 runs, just 14 passes for Michigan tonight. 2nd down and 7 out of the shotgun. A quick throw to the right flat. Samaj Morgan caught it, got dumped immediately by Cameron Fabiculanen, who lost his helmet on the tackle. They're going to mark it at the 43-yard line for a loss of 3. But Vicky Lannon saw that coming, came flying up from the secondary in a big play by the junior safety from Camarillo, California. Been in and out of their lineup this year due to injury. Here's another third down for Michigan. Third down and 10. A minute and a half to go, third quarter. 20-13 Wolverines. McCarthy gesturing to a bunch of receivers, 3 to the left. Says something to the running back, Edwards, on his right. Takes the snap. Quick throw out wide to the left. Roman Wilson trying to pick up a block and a terrific tackle by Asa Turner, because if he didn't make the play on the far sideline, Wilson was going to have the first down. Instead, it's only a 5-yard gain. He went out of bounds at the Michigan 48, and the Wolverines will have to punt.
Tried to throw a little bubble screen, and Colson Loveland initially had Asa Turner taken care of, but Asa Turner beats him to the outside and makes the tackle right there on the Michigan sideline. Terrific play by the safety.
And Loveland, not a good enough job blocking. If he takes care of Turner, it's a first down. Here's the snap to Tommy Doman, another very high punt. Boy, he's hit some majestic punts tonight. It bounces at the 4, bounces backwards out by the 10, and it's down by the snapper, William Wagner, at the 11-yard line. Nicely done by Doman. 41-yard punt. So another chance for Washington, down by a score. They'll start at their own 11 with 39 seconds to go in the third quarter. Each team has kicked a field goal since halftime. Penix 18 for 31 for 170. Way below his national leading average of 332 per game. Coming off a 430 performance against Texas in the semifinal in the All-State Sugar Bowl. His 4th 400-yard passing game of the season. He's in the shotgun with Dylan Johnson on his left. 2 receivers tight to the line on either side. The snap to Penix. He throws, and it's too high. Again, he had an open receiver. It was Jalen Polk near the 30-yard line between the far numbers and the sideline. He just airmailed him.
And that's the 3rd time he's missed high tonight. I mean, Polk's wide open on a corner route. Westover's underneath, grabs the flat defender.
Wide
That's
open.
A piece of cake throw for a guy that's likely going to be a first-round pick. You can't miss that.
And so unlike the semifinal when he was right on target with everything all night long. 18 out of 32 tonight. He was 29 of 38 against Texas. 5 wide receivers spread the field. Short pass to Westover, the tight end. Caught it to the 15. Nice move to cut to the inside and pick up the first down at the 23. Got blasted there. It's a 13-yard gain for Westover.
Westover has really provided a spark to the passing game, especially run at the catch.
Hard hit at the end by Keon Sabb. Westover 5 catches. He had 6 against Texas. His season high is 7 against Utah. They won't snap it again here in the third quarter. Well, it's been a scintillating college football season, and the title game is going to come down to the fourth quarter, or perhaps beyond at the end of the third quarter. The score is Michigan 20 and Washington 13. This is the College Football Playoff National Championship presented by AT&T on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app, presented by Wendy's.
Marquez Fisher, Trevor Maddich in the studio after 3 quarters. Michigan still up 7 on Washington. Trevor, the Washington defense been stiffening. Michigan had 235 yards first 3 drives, only 110 their last 6.
Yeah, the difference is those first 3 drives, they tried to do too much. They ran out of their gaps. Michigan exploited it. Since then, Washington has been much more sound in their gap integrity, and they've done a good job of slowing Michigan down.
Michigan Wolverines up 7 as we head to the fourth quarter. Back to Houston with Ian Fitzsimmons, Chris Budden on the sidelines with Greg McElroy. Here's Sean McDonough.
All right, Kesty, Trevor, thank you. Setting up for a great finish in this national championship game between Michigan and Washington. 20-13 Wolverines scored in their opening drive, have not trailed tonight, led by as much as 17-3. 1st and 10, Washington, first play of the fourth quarter. They're at their own 23 on the far hash mark. The left as they go from our left to right. Dylan Johnson, the running back, Penix out of the gun. Hands it off to Johnson across the formation from right to left and ahead for very little. Yanked down at the 26, a 3-yard gain. Huskies just cannot get the running game going. They have 41 yards rushing tonight.
And 18 carries too, so just over two and a half a carry.
Michigan's rushed for 273 on 9.8 per carry. Second down and 7. Penix 18-19 now at 33 for 182. A touchdown and an interception. He's out of the gun with Will Nixon, the running back, on his left. 2 receivers to either side, all close to the line of scrimmage. Michigan blitzes, quick throw, caught near sideline. Jalen McMillan yanked down by Will Johnson, a huge tackle, because he was the only Wolverine defender on the near sideline. If McMillan broke free, he had a lot of running room. Instead, a 3-yard gain.
Sainristil still blitzed off the edge, forced the ball into Penix's hands quickly, which put Johnson on an island. If he doesn't make that tackle, McMillan might score.
Third down and 4. Washington at its own 29 on the right hash mark. 2 out of 9 on third down, 0 for their last 7. Will Nixon, the running back, to the right of Penix, out of the gun. Odunze goes in motion to the left to make it a trio. Wide open receiver, Nixon, and he dropped the ball in the right flat. Sainristil came blitzing from Michigan's left, the right end of the Washington line. It was a perfect call. They threw it right past the blitzer to Will Nixon, the running back, and he just dropped it.
They had exactly what they wanted. They get pressure. Josiah Stewart's unblocked off the right-hand side. They get to Nixon on a little wheel route, has to get it early, and he's going to race Colson to the line to gain. He would have likely won that match with ease.
And Washington's won close games all year, 10 in a row by 10 points or less. Michigan had too many men on the field, just did race one of the deep men off the field. The punt by McAllister goes out of bounds at the 16-yard line. The Washington Husky fans are booing, and Kalen DeBoer is screaming at the officials. They felt like Michigan had too many men on the field. They had 2 men back for the punt, and one of them went scampering off. It was Samaj Morgan who ran off late. For the moment, it's a 55-yard punt. 13:29 left in the fourth quarter. Michigan 20, Washington 13. You're listening to the College Football Playoff National Championship, presented by AT&T on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app, presented by Wendy's.
You're listening to the College Football Playoff National Championship, presented by AT&T on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app.
And it's coming your way from NRG Stadium in Houston, where we have a sellout crowd, and a boisterous one at that. 72,220 in the home of the Houston Texans. Tonight's attendance brought to you by Vivid Seats, the official ticketing partner of ESPN. Get great deals on the hottest tickets. Experience it live. Sean McDonough, Greg McElroy in the broadcast booth. Chris Budden and Ian Fitzsimmons on the sidelines. Our producer, John Medani. Our spotter, Zachary Patrazone. Our statistician, Mike Swanson. Honored to be here to bring you this compelling college football national championship game on ESPN Radio. 13:29 to go. And Michigan will take over from its own 16-yard line.
Really unsuccessful running the ball in the last couple drives. But J.J. McCarthy's legs might need to be a factor here. They're really selling out, taking the running back out of the game. He's got to pull some of these zone reads and see what he can find on the edge.
Michigan had 235 yards of offense on its first 3 drives, 2 touchdowns and a field goal, 110 yards on their last 6 drives. McCarthy out of the gun. And he rolls out after a run fake, throws over the middle, and it's incomplete. Dropped by Cornelius Johnson, who was cutting across the field from left to right. McCarthy hit him in stride, and Johnson couldn't hang on.
It was a well-thrown ball. Johnson's on the over route. Might have had a chance at Roman Wilson deep, but decided to go to his number 2, and he just drops it right in the midsection. A perfect throw from McCarthy.
I mean, that could not have been more right on target, right into his chest. So big drops on back-to-back plays. Nixon dropped one that would have extended the last Washington possession. 2nd and 10 from their own 16 out of the gun, McCarthy. And it's a handoff to Corm, bouncing outside to the left. And again, not a lot of running room. He did well to get to the 20, just outside the numbers for a pickup of 4 for the senior from Marshall, Virginia.
Third down's been a real problem tonight for Michigan. J.J. McCarthy just 2 of 6 for 9 yards on third down. They've really struggled as a group. Here they are in an obvious passing situation on 3rd and medium.
McCarthy is 8 out of 16. They're 1 for 8 on third down. From the 20 on the left hash mark. The running back is Edwards to the left of McCarthy out of the gun. Takes the snap, rolls to the right. He's being chased. He gets away. And he slides down along the far sideline short of the first down. Turned the corner, got to the 21. But it's another 3 and out from Michigan. Raylan Goforth, the transfer from USC, chased him to the boundary after the original pressure forced him out of the pocket from Voi Tunufi.
Yeah, Voi Tunufi kind of slapped at his left leg and got tripped up as he was escaping the pocket, and that's what kind of led McCarthy to kind of tumble over forwards where Goforth cleaned it up.
And McCarthy was going to stumble down even if Goforth didn't get there. So here's Tommy Doman to punt, standing at his own 8-yard line. Back deep, Giles Jackson standing at the Washington 35. The punt toward the far sideline, caught at the 33 by Jackson, and he stopped immediately. Excellent coverage by the Michigan special teams. 51-yard punt. The punters have been terrific tonight. No return. We're down to 11:52 to go in the fourth quarter. It's still Michigan 20 and Washington 13 in the College Football Playoff National Championship, presented by AT&T on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app, presented by Wendy's.
You're listening to the College Football Playoff National Championship presented by AT&T on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app.
Neither team can score here in the second half. Just a field goal for each in the third quarter. We're down to 11:52 to go in the fourth. Michigan still on top of Washington, 20-13. We'll check in on the Wolverine sideline. Here's Chris Budden.
After each of Michigan's drives, the last two, J.J. McCarthy has come off pretty frustrated, and their sports psychologist that works with the team has come over to him both times, trying to give him words of wisdom. McCarthy very into the meditation before every game. He'll go up and lean up against the goalpost and go through things to visualize and meditate. Still leaning on him in the middle of games when he's dealing with frustration.
Well, he's had a rough night, 8 out of 16 for 87 yards. His season low passing yards was 60 against Penn State. He got dinged up in that game, threw only 8 passes. They ran the ball in 32 straight plays to beat the Nittany Lions. Michael Penix, 45 completions for the year on passes that travel near more than 20 yards. He doesn't have one tonight. 0 for 6 on balls thrown 20 yards downfield. He's been off. But all he needs is one accurate one, perhaps, to tie the game. He drops back out of the shotgun, throws. That's on target, but it's broken up. It was on target to Jalen Polk at the 45-yard line, but Keon Sabb, the sophomore safety from Glassboro, New Jersey, was there on the catch to knock it away from Polk.
Moved the pocket just a little bit to the left. They get Penix sliding away. The ball's in the air just a little bit too long. He's just a touch late, which allows Sabb a time to close and break it up.
It wasn't his usual rocket of velocity. Dylan Johnson, the running back, to the right. They fake it to him out of the shotgun. Penix pump fakes, lobs it up, has Odunze, and an over-the-shoulder catch goes out of bounds at the 35-yard line of Michigan. The officials conferring. There's a flag.
Offense, number 73.
Wow.
Second down.
Roger Rosengarten, the right tackle, called for a hold and wiped out a 32-yard play, which would have been their first of the night of more than 20 yards.
Just absolutely massive. He's working against McGregor on the right side, and McGregor kind of slips inside. Rosengarten grabs just enough.
It just kind of threw him down.
Left arm's up a little bit. I don't love the call. I don't see it enough there.
I tell you, they haven't called holding all night, and I'm sure there was much more holding than that. Just kind of threw him down to the ground. Wow. Rough call, especially at this juncture. They're back near their own 20. It's an inside middle screen to Jalen McMillan. He's stopped immediately by Mikey Sainristil. We'll be talking about that holding call for a long time in Seattle if Michigan goes on to win this game. That was marginal at best. These two teams are combined 3 out of 19 on third down. Washington's 2 out of 10, 0 for their last 8. They've had a lot of long yardage situations. This is 3rd down and 19. From their own 25, ball equidistant from the hash marks. 2 receivers to either side. Johnson on the right hip. Colson, the linebacker, showing blitz. He comes on the rush. Penix retreating, dumps it over the middle. It is caught, and Johnson taken down by Junior Colson at the 35-yard line. Gain of 9, but nowhere near enough. The penalty is a killer, as they finally hit a big play to Rome Odunze, and it came back for a holding call.
And that was a really tough 3-play sequence for Rosengarten. I agree with you, Sean. I don't think that was enough to warrant a holding call. I mean, goodness gracious, we see jerseys getting tugged all night long, and then he gives up the pressure to Jalen Harrell, which forces the ball out quick and an easy stop for Michigan.
So McAllister to punt for the 5th time. He's averaged 50.5, including a career-long 56-yarder. There are 2 men back deep, Faw and Morgan. Another low line drive kick, and the up man, Faw, made the fair catch at the 29-yard line. 37-yard punt. Under 10 minutes to go, 9:44 in the 4th quarter. Still Michigan 20, Washington 13. It's the College Football Playoff National Championship presented by AT&T on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app, presented by Wendy's.
You're listening to the College Football Playoff National Championship presented by AT&T on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app.
Sean McDonough, Greg McElroy in the broadcast booth here at Electric NRG Stadium in Houston. Chris Budney and Fitzsimmons on the sidelines. Developed into a defensive struggle. Michigan still leading 20-13. And only 1 field goal apiece here in the second half. The first half, the 2 teams combined for 450 yards of offense. This half, just 152. 9:44 to go. Michigan ball at their own 29-yard line. J.J. McCarthy. 8 out of 16 for 87 yards. No touchdowns, no interceptions. Blake Corum, the running back, on his right hip. Out of the shotgun, it's a fake to Corum. It's a pass over the middle. Caught by Colston Loveland. And he's off to the races inside the 40 and down to the Washington 30-yard line. The athletic tight end made a nice leaping catch. Found a little gap right over the middle of the defense and goes for 41.
Incredible catch by Loveland. The ball was thrown high on an RPO, and Loveland climbs the ladder, makes a catch, and takes off for nice yards after catch.
Michigan goes quickly to the line at the Washington 30. Shotgun snap and a handoff to Corum running left. And he gets 3 to the 27-yard line. Boy, a field goal here would be huge. Put it back to a 2-score game. We'll go under 9 minutes by the time Michigan snaps it again. Terrific catch by Loveland. 6'5", 245, first team all Big Ten. 42 catches coming into tonight. And a team high 3, tied with Johnson tonight. They've completed only 9. Jim Harbaugh went to Idaho to recruit Loveland. Will Mullings, the running back now. He shifts to the left side of McCarthy out of the shotgun. He fakes a toss sweep to the left. Rolls out to the right, has Wilson in the flat. He catches it. He runs inside the 20, down the far sideline, and out of bounds with a Michigan first down. That big play to Loveland has really seemed to spark the Michigan offense. They're at the 15-yard line after a 12-yard pickup.
Little misdirection, fake a pitch to the left, roll McCarthy out to the right. Asau Afoa comes up, takes McCarthy, dumps it right to Wilson in the flat, and he takes off and turns upfield for another nice gain.
Wilson, senior from Hawaii, had the 4-yard touchdown catch with a minute and a half to go that tied the game against Alabama. Michigan won that semifinal in overtime, 27-20. Out of the gun, McCarthy. A handoff to Blake Corum straight ahead, the running back down to the 12-yard line. A gain of 3. We're under 8 minutes to go. Michigan has led all night, still on top 20-13.
That was their 51st snap of the night. This is the point in the game where most defenses really start to struggle against that physical offensive line. You get past the 45 snap mark, opposing defense's efficiency drops way off. So let's see if Washington can weather the storm and hang in there.
Washington's run 57 plays to Michigan's 51. The time of possession almost exactly even, each with more than 26 minutes. We're down to 7:15 to go. Shotgun snap. It's a handoff to Corum. He breaks the tackle with a 10 and goes into the end zone for a touchdown. Alfonso Tuputala missed the tackle at the 10-yard line near the far numbers, and then Corum just exploded off the missed hit for a 12-yard touchdown. He's up to 125 yards on 18 carries. They had been stacking him up. His previous 7 carries had yielded just 13 yards.
And they do a great job pulling A.J. Barner, the tight end on the left-hand side. He pulls all the way around and gets a block out in front. A great run by Corum.
James Turner, the extra point, hits the left upright and goes through. Ricocheted in, a doink off the left upright and carry him to the right through for Turner. And Michigan goes back up by 14 with 7:09 to go. Last time these two teams met was in the 2021 season, in the second game of the year. And Blake Corum rushed for 171 yards against the Huskies and 3 touchdowns. He had a 67-yard touchdown run. Hassan Haskins also had a big game, rushed for 155. As a team, Michigan ran for 343. I announced that game, Greg, and to me, that was really the beginning of this renaissance of Michigan football. The previous year was the COVID year. They were 2-4. Rumors that Jim Harbaugh might lose his job. He made several key changes on his coaching staff, and he went back to the identity that worked for him at the previous spots with Stanford and the 49ers. Physical football, play with extra offensive linemen, back to kind of the old Michigan formula. And the results are 3 straight Big Ten titles.
It's amazing. I mean, they really altered their identity after that 2020 season. They were trying to be an RPO team. They felt like that's where the game was heading, and Jim Harbaugh had moderate success at times, but not nearly to the level where they're at right now. After the wheels fell off in 2020, they pressed the reset button, became a much more physical unit, multiple tight ends, and a downhill rushing attack featuring 2 excellent backs, headlined by Blake Corum. It's been a huge difference maker. They throw it too, but they definitely make their bread and butter by running the football.
And of course, for Washington, that 2021 season began with a home loss to Montana. Jimmy Lake was the head coach. You could just feel the lack of juice when you met with that Husky team. They wound up going 4-8, and they hired Kalen DeBoer. And you talk about a quick turnaround, 25-2. The transfer of Penix to Washington was the most important thing. They convinced the great wide receivers to stay and not go in the transfer portal. They've had a remarkable 2 years. They've won 21 in a row coming into tonight, but they're really in trouble. They have had every opportunity when they were down 20-13 to tie the game, just couldn't do it. Now they're down 2 scores with 7:09 to go.
Yeah, and they really haven't been able to manufacture anything downfield all game long. I mean, Michigan has done a remarkably good job staying very patient defensively, giving up the underneath, but making sure that when those receivers release vertically, they're going to be locked in coverage. So throwing your way back into this one on one throw is not going to happen more than likely for Michael Penix. He's going to have to continue to be methodical, but then time becomes an issue, knowing it's a 2-score game with just 7 minutes left to play.
Longest play for Washington is still 16 yards tonight. They came into tonight with 73 pass plays of 20 yards or more in 14 games, most in the country. They had that 32-yard completion of Odunze wiped out on a highly questionable holding call against Roger Rosengarten. And that might be the biggest play of the game. It's certainly among them. So Michigan will kick off. The ball teed up on the far hash marks. The right for Tommy Doman, the kickoff man. He's been a touchback machine all night long. Daniel Ngata is back deep. He's standing about 2 yards deep in the end zone. Doman not tired yet. Another bomb that lands about 3 yards from the back line of the end zone. Would you expect now Washington will play with tempo here, down by 2 touchdowns with 7:09 to go?
You have to, especially considering what just happened to your defense. I mean, you get gashed on a couple of runs once Michigan got into the red zone, so you got to start thinking tempo, and they had some success with that at the end of the first half. So depending on just how fast they want to go, it's something that they are comfortable doing.
Penix out of the shotgun. They spread the field with 5 receivers. They're on the right hash mark, going from left to right here in the fourth quarter. Snap to Penix. He fires short to the right. Caught, but the receiver Polk retreated. Caught it at the 30. Retreated and gets stacked up. They're going to mark it at the 29-yard line. About 4 Michigan defenders there to take down Jalen Polk. Keon Sabb, the primary tackler. Gain of 4. Washington's had at least 3 plays of 20 yards in every game this season. None tonight against the top scoring defense in the country, Michigan. Westover goes scampering in motion, goes widest to the left. Coming in motion to the right is Jalen McMillan. The running back is Dylan Johnson. Shotgun snap to Penix, looking to his right, throws deep down the field. Odunze's open again, catches it at the Michigan 40 and goes down near the 25-yard line. He's been open deep several times tonight. That's the first time they've hit him for a big play, 44 yards. Sainristil made the tackle after Rod Moore whiffed. 5 catches for 87 for Odunze. He came in with 5 straight 100-yard receiving games. The Washington record, 10 100-yard games on the year. They're at the Michigan 27, and they have a false start. A couple of the offensive linemen moved, including Rosengarten, the right tackle.
False start. Offense, number 73. 5-yard penalty. First down.
The 4th false start of the night.
Back to the big play a moment ago to Odunze. They caught Michigan a little off guard. They were in communication. Sainristil and Will Johnson were trying to communicate how they're going to pass off the stack. Odunze runs right by them, and they blow the coverage, which leads to a big play.
They're so creative with formations and pass routes to get guys wide open. Ryan Grubb, the coordinator from the 32, 1st and 10. Back to pass Penix. He's pressured. He steps up, dumps it. Incomplete. Looked like he had Westover open in the flat, and it was hard to tell from here if it was intended for him or for Will Nixon, who was deeper down the field, out of the backfield.
And he was stepping up hard in the pocket, and he was about to get hit really hard as one of the defenders, looked like Kenneth Grant, came unblocked there at the end, trying to hit Westover, but the ball just way too high, knowing he was about to get hit hard.
That was just a terrible throw. Flutter ball nowhere near either of the receivers. Penix has picked a tough time to not be at his best tonight. From the right hash mark, they have 3 receivers to the short side right. Shotgun snap to Penix. Under duress immediately, low throw, and a good catch by Will Nixon at the 30-yard line, but he had to go down to the ground to catch it. So a gain of only 2. Penix completely off. The clock is running down to 5:23. And not a lot of urgency here in the operation. They're just kind of milling around on the field, looking to the sideline for the signals. They're down by 2 touchdowns. This is 4-down territory if they don't convert on 3rd and 13. Nixon went in motion out of the backfield and comes back to the right side of Penix out of the gun. 3 receivers in a bunch to the right, 1 to the left. 0 for their last 9 on 3rd down. Penix takes the snap, throws off his back foot, and incomplete. Looking for Jalen McMillan along the near sideline near the 5. He was well covered by Mikey Sainristil. It's 4th and 13. The field goal doesn't really do Washington any good. They'd still be down by 2 scores. So the offense stays out there.
You've got to look here. Critical moment in the game all season long on the most critical downs, and look in the direction of Rome Odunze. You got to look at number 1 if you're Washington and you're Michael Penix.
5 receivers now, 3 to the left of Penix, and a timeout called by Michigan. Odunze was lined up in the slot to the right with Westover, the tight end, widest to the right. 2 timeouts for Michigan, all 3 left for Washington, and a 4th and 13 the Huskies absolutely have to have.
It'll be interesting too if Jesse Minter, they've had a lot of success blitzing Michael Penix tonight. Do they opt to do it here on 4th and long, force the ball out of his hands really quickly? So if I'm Ryan Grubb, I'm thinking I got to make sure I have protection, and I got to find a one-on-one for Rome Odunze against one of the safeties. I'd have him in motion, I'd bring him into the slot, and I'd see if I can't get him at the full head of steam at one of the safeties on an in-breaking route.
Why wouldn't you blitz if you're Michigan? You know, this is perhaps a chance to seal the game right here. And you're playing with a 2-score lead. can afford to be aggressive. 1 out of 2 on 4th down tonight, the Huskies. They're at the Michigan 30-yard line. Ball equidistant between the hash marks. 2 receivers to either side. Dylan Johnson, the running back, to the right of Penix out of the gun. Michigan crowding the line. 7-man cross. They bring pressure on Penix. He throws under duress. There's a flag down. He lofts it up. Adunze got tackled at the 5-yard line. There's a flag there as well on Will Johnson. But there's also a flag back behind the line of scrimmage. Penix got hit as he threw it and has to be helped up to his feet by a couple of his offensive linemen. So flags behind the line of scrimmage, flags for blatant pass interference down at the 5-yard line.
Holding, offense, number 73. Pass interference, defense, number 2. The foul's offset, 4th down.
Well, you feel for Roger Rosengarten, second holding call on the sophomore from Highlands Ranch, Colorado. But the interference at the other end gives Washington another chance on 4th down, and that one was a blatant hold. He just grabbed Jalen Harrell and spun him around.
Yeah, all-out pressure there called by Jesse Minter. Now I would imagine he's going to drop back and play coverage. We'll see if Ryan Grubb goes max protect. I can't imagine he will, probably anticipating that they're going to change up what they just did.
4th and 13, Washington to the Michigan 30. 4:46 to go, Michigan leading 27-13. Penix out of the shotgun. Dylan Johnson, the running back, on his right. Westover goes in motion, widest to the right. Shotgun snap to Penix. Johnson stayed in the block. A throw intercepted. Picked off by Mikey Sainristil. And he's bringing it back, crossing the field on the far sideline. He has blockers. Sainristil down the far sideline. Rosengarten can't get him. He's down inside the 10-yard line. Jack Westover ran him down and saved the touchdown. Sainristil caught it near the near numbers around the 10-yard line. Cut to the middle of the field and took off, which might be the play that clinches the national championship for Michigan. What a year he's had. His 6th interception of the year and very nearly his 3rd pick 6. He took it all the way to the Washington 8-yard line.
Washington decides to go with a corner route to McMillan. Totally flooded in the zone. There are 5 Michigan defenders on the right side of the field. That's exactly where Penix tries to throw it. He throws it high, tries to give McMillan a chance, but he can't. Sainristil's right behind him to reel it in and turn it into a massive play.
Mikey Sainristil from Everett, Massachusetts. His 62nd career game, most of them at wide receiver. On 1st down, Corum up the middle. Corum powers toward the end zone. And they're going to mark him down just short of the goal line. Sainristil tied a school record with 2 interception returns for touchdowns this year. He brought that one back 79 yards, not quite all the way. One of their team leaders, one of 6 captains, 2nd-year captain, 1st team all-conference, and perhaps about to be a national champion in his final year at Michigan. They have 4 minutes now. Leading 27-13 and on the doorstep, about 6 inches from the goal line. Under center, McCarthy, I formation behind him. Bredesen in front of Corum. The handoff to Corum and a touchdown. And that could be a fitting conclusion to his career. The all-time record holder at Michigan in rushing touchdowns. 2 more tonight and 58 for his brilliant career.
Just power football, emotion, an extra tackle across the formation. He becomes the additional fullback. They run right behind him on a power to the left-hand side. And Corum powers his way to the end zone for yet another score. What a tremendous sequence for the Wolverines.
Hugs all around for Corum as he goes back to the sideline. James Turner on for the extra point. And it is good with 3:37 to go. Michigan leading 34-13. Sainristil the interception. It was an errant throw. Penix was surrounded. He airmailed Jalen McMillan. Sainristil caught it around the 12 on the near side of the field, went all the way to the far sideline. Give Roger Rosengarten the tackle credit. He chased him all the way down, slowed him down enough that Westover could tackle him, but it didn't matter. Corum punches it in. Officially an 81-yard interception return, which is the longest in CFP championship game history. You'll recall Keely Ringo for Georgia brought one back 79 against Alabama in Indianapolis in 2022. So Washington, a lot of chances, stayed in the game for a long time. On their heels right out of the gate, the defense stabilized, but the pressure by Michigan really threw Michael Penix off his game.
Yeah, he definitely didn't have his best stuff. A couple interceptions, a couple bad decisions, and in a huge hole. Naturally, this thing's, all intents and purposes, over.
Kickoff down to Daniel Ngata at the goal line. He's going to try to bring it back, and he's stacked up near the 15-yard line. Michigan fired up. The coverage team all jumping up and down as they head off the field. We'll pause 10 seconds for station identification. You're listening to College Football Playoff National Championship presented by AT&T on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app presented by Wendy's. The Michigan Wolverines have looked very much like the best defensive team in the country tonight. They've held high-flying Washington and Michael Penix to 13 points. Penix 25 out of 43 for 246, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, and off target on many throws tonight when he had receivers open. Jalen McMillan comes in motion to the right out of the shotgun. Penix, 4-man rush. He dumps it down to Polk, cutting across the middle. He's across the 20 and tackled at the 24. There's a flag now, perhaps for a late hit. Junior Colson made the tackle, and then Will Johnson came flying in. It might even be targeting against Will Johnson, who seemed to lead with his helmet. Officials conferring with 3:22 to go. These teams have been penalized 5 times to this point. Marcus Woods of the ACC is the referee.
Personal foul, targeting, defense, number 2. The previous play is under further review.
First time they've gone to the replay booth tonight. Mark McEnany is the replay official out of the ACC, and looked like a pretty clear case of targeting.
Yeah, it looked like as he was getting dragged to the ground by Colson, Will Johnson comes in and initiates contact with his helmet. Just whether or not that contact is the crown of the helmet, it looks like to me it grazes kind of the side, but either way that halo extends all the way around the head. It's just whether or not it's inside the halo enough to warrant crown of the helmet with the initiating contact against McMillan, or against Polk, excuse me.
So they're still taking a look at it. 3:22 to go.
After further review, there is no foul for targeting. Number 2 may remain in the game. Second down.
So Johnson stays out there. He's a pro. Down the road. He and that secondary in tandem with the pass rush done a terrific job. You mentioned the Doomsday, the Litnikoff finalists, 5 catches tonight for 87, 44 of those on 1 play. Polk 4 catches, McMillan 6 catches, but both for under 40 yards. They have totally taken away the big play from the Huskies. Shotgun snap to Penix. On second down, he fires off the hands of McMillan, who was open in the middle of the field near the 38-yard line. It was behind him. And it's really a shame that his career at Washington is going to end like this for Michael Penix Jr. because he has had the 2 biggest passing seasons in Washington history. But under duress again, and you can see the rush is affecting that one off the back foot, kind of ducking as he threw it. They're at the 24-yard line, 3rd down and 3, 2:58 to go. Michigan leading 34-13. Shotgun snap to Penix, throws over the middle, caught by Will Nixon, but he's retreating. He lunges for the line to gain. He'll be close. Looks like he's a yard short on another big play by Mikey Sainristil.
Sainristil has been all over the field tonight. He can make a strong argument. He's been their best player defensively, playing from that nickel spot. Interception was huge, but man, he's had tight coverage, had some great open field tackles as well.
Michigan defense coordinated by Jesse Minter, one of the rising stars in coaching. On fourth down, they're going for it. A handoff straight ahead to Will Nixon. He crosses the 30 with a first down. Of course, he replaced Mike McDonald as defensive coordinator. McDonald came from the Baltimore Ravens to coordinate the Michigan defense. Then John Harbaugh brought him back to be the coordinator of the Ravens. They have the best defense in the NFL. Pass over the middle, incomplete at midfield. That was an on-target throw for a tight end, Josh Cuevas, but it was knocked away by Keon Sabb. Mike McDonald is here tonight along with John Harbaugh, and they are going to celebrate in 2 minutes and 4 seconds. Jim Harbaugh's first national championship. And I wonder if this will accelerate his departure to the NFL. But what more can he do? I mean, you can make the argument, Greg, it's the best 3-year stretch in Michigan football history.
I think you'd have a really hard time pushing back on that.
3 straight Big Ten titles, 3 straight wins over Ohio State, 3 straight appearances in the college football playoff, and their first national championship in 26 years. Penix throws almost intercepted again. It was closest to Junior Colson, and second closest was Will Johnson, both Michigan defenders, after Derek Moore delivered pressure on Penix, who looks like he's not feeling well, kind of grabbing at his stomach. Right arm dangling by his side. Texas couldn't knock him around. Michigan has done it all night long. He wound up on the ground there in the arms of Derek Moore, the sophomore from Baltimore, out of St. Francis, where he's a high school teammate of Blake Corum. 1:59 to go, 3rd down and 10. Washington at their own 31 off the left hash mark. Out of the gun, Penix, a blitz coming from his left. He gets hit as he throws, and it's nowhere near receiver. He just threw it away. Deep into his Washington sideline. And Penix again doubled over in pain. Now he's gesturing at his receivers about where they're supposed to go.
He's got to be feeling it right now. I mean, he has been slow. He's been hit almost every play this drive. He's really slow getting up just about every single time. I mean, he's taken the beating tonight. A lot of unblocked rushers here in these last few plays.
4th down and 10 for Washington. With 1:53 to go and Michigan leading by 21. Richard Newton comes in at running back now. And whistle stopped the play for a Michigan timeout. Leaving Michigan with 1.
Come out, Michigan. They're second of the half.
Boy, Penix under duress. He keeps grabbing at his right side. He's got some extra padding in his midsection. And there have been rumors that he suffered a rib injury mid-season against Oregon. Came out of the gates flying, 400 yards passing in each of the first 3 games. Then in the middle of the season, the numbers really dropped off, but the running game took off. Lately better, but tonight he's been whacked around like a piñata.
Yeah, he's been hit a ton, and they've done a great job, Jesse Minter has, in creating a lot of movement. This is an excellent offensive line, but he's getting all those pass rushers on different levels in their pass rush. So if one guy wins, the other guy knifes through, and then they bring guys off the edge and create extra hitters over and over again. It's really been a terrific defensive plan by defensive coordinator Jesse Minter.
4th and 10. Washington its own 31, down 34-13, 1:53 to go. Penix out of the shotgun. Newton is the running back to his left. Here comes a blitz from his left. He throws, and it's incomplete. Through, falling out of the throw and leaning away from it in the general direction of Devin Culp. Michigan takes over on downs. And they're 1:49 away from the 10th national championship in school history. They claim 11 entering tonight, but the NCAA does not recognize 2 of them. It'll be the first since 1997, just the second since 1948. Led by Jim Harbaugh, a Michigan man. His dad, Jack, was an assistant coach at Michigan. Family spent a lot of their childhood years in Ann Arbor. Brother John, sister Joni. Jim, a terrific quarterback in Michigan, came back to his alma mater to restore them to national prominence, and he has done that in what might be his last night as a Michigan coach.
It's an amazing, amazing job over the last few years, culminating with a national championship victory.
Blake Corum takes the handoff from J.J. McCarthy straight ahead. Just a 1-yard gain. Washington will not use timeouts. The outcome no longer in doubt. Jim Harbaugh starting to accept some congratulations on the far sideline. The Michigan fans are on their feet. Winningest program in college football history. This will be number 1,004. They won number 1,000 without Jim Harbaugh when he was suspended. Wound up not coaching 6 games during the regular year. And still not managing a smile, but he's getting close. And they're in victory formation now. And McCarthy takes a knee. He'll go to 27-1 in his career as the Michigan quarterback. Harbaugh takes the headset off as the clock goes down to 50 seconds. And running in, they try to get him with the Gatorade bucket, and they missed. Jim still has some quickness at age 60.
one of his players, I couldn't see what number it was. He wore it on behalf of Jim Harbaugh. He was giving him a hug. Harbaugh saw it, and whatever the player was just got doused.
He hugged Sharon Moore, stepped in so nicely when Jim missed, and Jesse Miller gets a hug as well. They snap it and take a knee, and that'll be the last snap. Still 22 seconds to go, but the teams are racing across the field. Michigan with jubilation. Washington just kind of hovering around its sideline on the near side in disbelief of what happened. 8 seconds to go. Michigan has won the college football national championship 34-13 over Washington to complete a perfect 15-0 season. They held Washington to 301 yards of offense. It was a Husky team that came in averaging 473, so held 172 below that average. In the matchup of offense against defense, the defense won the day.
They dominated the line of scrimmage from start to finish. They didn't allow any big plays. All the keys that they had to have, they executed to perfection en route to a perfect 15-0 season.
Let's go to Ian.
I'm here with the defensive MVP of the game and the outstanding corner, Will Johnson. You're a Detroit native.
Yes, sir.
You told me earlier this week, this is why you came to Michigan. You're in this moment, confetti's falling on you. Sum it up. As he's getting bear hugged right now by teammates. What's this like for you, Will?
I can't even describe it, man. It's a wonderful feeling. It's for the state of Michigan. It's for everything we've been through this year, man. Just thank God for what we got.
You had a great battle out there with Roma Dunze all night long. Take us onto the field. What was that matchup like?
Man, he's a great player. All respect to him, all respect to Penix, all respect to their coordinator, their coaches. I mean, they do a great job over there. Just happy we came out with a win.
There's one thing about this team that you want everyone to know that they don't have any clue about. What is it? From your head coach to your teammates, what is it?
Man, we're just a family. We're built to last, we're built tough, and no matter what the circumstance is, we're ready to go, so that's what it is.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Over to Chris Button.
Ian, I'm here with Donovan Edwards, who's looking up to the sky saying it's beautiful. What's this moment like right now as you watch the maize and blue confetti come down?
You know what? I'm just soaking in everything because the feeling is just surreal right now. You know what? This team has been through a lot of adversity this year, and you know every single time that we go through adversity, we keep continuing rising to the occasion, and we stopped all the doubters and what they've said to us and about us this year. So I'm just glad, I'm blessed to be a part of this team. I'm thankful to everything that God has blessed us with this year. All praises to Him.
You talk about the haters out there. What do you prove tonight?
I mean, what didn't we prove? We're national champions. We're the #1 team in the country. We deserve our bragging rights. We deserve our respect. You know, so I'm just, it's a beautiful sight to see all the maize and blue confetti coming down.
As a kid from the state, what does this mean to bring a national championship back to Ann Arbor?
It's beautiful. We haven't won a national championship since in 26 years. So, you know, this is what our seniors and our captains came back for. They came back here to reunite the culture and to bring us a national championship. So it's beautiful, the dedication and the camaraderie, the brotherhood, the family, the teamwork that this team has.
One more before I let you go. You were running all over the place opening the game. How were you guys being able to run the ball so effectively?
I mean, it was just the game plan. Shout out to our offensive line, very dominant, and you know, shout out to Coach Hartford teaching the running back room to stay patient, to read our holes, and just to be the bell cow when we needed to be. So much respect to our offensive line and Coach Hart.
Donovan Edwards, congratulations. Go celebrate.
Thank you. I sure will.
John.
Mike Hart, the former great Michigan running back, is a running back coach. Donovan Edwards, not much of a factor for a lot of the year. His season high was 52 yards rushing at Penn State. First time he touched the ball tonight, he went 41 for a touchdown. The second time he touched it, 46 for a touchdown. Finished with just 6 carries, but 104 yards. And those two scores, 17.3 per carry. And Blake Corum rushed for 134 on 6.4 and 2 touchdowns, fittingly. As Michigan becomes just the 6th team in major college football history to go 15-0 or better in a season. They are the 4th in the last 6 years. Of course, more games now with the college football playoff. Georgia in 2022, 15-0. The great LSU team that won the title with Joe Burrow in 2019, 15-0. Clemson 15-0 in 2018, and now Michigan joins that group. The other two were back in the 1800s, Penn and Yale. Here's Ian.
I'm here with the offensive MVP and running back Blake Corum. And Sean, you just rattled off the stats. I don't know if you know these, Blake. $134 and 2 touchdowns in the national championship. When you hear that, there's confetti's all around you. What are you feeling?
Man, feeling a lot of things. But first, I just want to thank God, for allowing me to be in this situation and give me this opportunity. 2 touchdowns, 130 yards, but we killed it today. Offensive line, tight ends, receivers, defense. This is the team effort. That's why we won, and that's why we've been winning all year. Shout out to Team 144. I love y'all.
You told us on the field last year at the Fiesta Bowl, you're coming back. You wanted to get to this moment. Now you're in it. What was this journey like for you?
It's been one heck of a journey of ups and downs, trials and tribulations. But I wouldn't want it any other way. I've grown as a man. I've grown as a football player. I've grown as a leader. I'm just so thankful, for the trials and tribulations I went through. And now we're champions. I'll be a national champion the rest of my life, and we did this for Michigan.
Early on, you really got the running game going, and then they kind of felt you out. And then you blew it open again in the fourth quarter. So take us onto the field. How'd you get off to that fast start?
We knew we had to start fast, and the offensive line did a wonderful job firing off the ball along with the tight ends and receivers, and we started fast. And then they started to stack the box a little more, but then we knew we had to get the job done, and so that's when we opened it up again. But it was just a complete team effort, and that's why we won.
2 words.
Country strong, baby.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Go over to Chris Budden now. Chris.
Hold on. I'm sitting here watching J.J. McCarthy get hugs from his family.
It is quite a scene
He's running
down
off
there.
to go celebrate with his mom and his dad and running to go hug his head coach. Sean?
All right, we'll get back to you, Chris, if you can wrangle J.J. McCarthy, who's now trotting over toward the stands to go hug other members of his family. Jonathan James McCarthy over by the stands, greeting his fans. Didn't have a big night, didn't have to. He only threw it 18 times, Greg. Completed 10 for 140, but as usual, managed the game. Didn't make any mistakes. They did not have a turnover tonight. Washington had 2, and that was a big part of the game.
But he really broke it open with the throw to Colston Loveland, and that to me completely changed the way Washington was trying to defend. You now had to think about the tight end releasing on the RPO. They were a little bit more hesitant to sell out against the run, and that's really what changed the game. At that point, it was 20-13. It felt like momentum was kind of slipping towards Washington, and then after that big play and the catch and run, it was all Michigan from that point forward, and they put the exclamation point on it with a couple more touchdowns.
So McCarthy 27-1 as the starting quarterback. Jim Harbaugh hugged in the middle of the field by his brother John. And let's go back to Ian.
I'm here with Michigan tight end Colston Loveland, who had a huge catch as his family members are now coming up to him as well. And and that big catch you had to really separate the two teams, take us onto the field. You get the catch and then the yak afterward. What was it like?
Man, I heard the play called. Coaches were like, see it in, make a play. And it's something we've been practicing, preparing all week. Thought it was a pretty good route. JJ put it right where I needed it. And then kind of just went black from there. But, man, glad we came out with the win, man. Huge.
you're so much trials and tribulations throughout the year. Now you're here. How did you guys block out all the noise that everyone was talking about from Coach Harbaugh and everything else? How were you all able just to stay together?
Man, I think it starts with the culture at Michigan that Coach Harbaugh has created and all the staff has created. It's just, all the outside noise, we don't listen to it, and that's kind of what they just molded into our minds. And, it's like you see the team versus everybody, and we really just adapted that mindset, and we ran with it.
Man, congratulations, Colston. You're a national champion.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Good to see you, buddy. KB.
I'm with linebacker Michael Garrett. You're holding your phone. How many notifications you got right now?
All right, now, man, it's just a couple, man, but I know, yeah. I don't even know.
As you sit here and celebrate, what's this moment feel like right now?
Man, it feels like a dream for real. You know what I mean? I dreamed of this moment, dreamed of being on this stage, man, dreamed of finally being here. And to be here in this moment, man, it just feels amazing. I don't even want to leave this field right now, but it feels amazing.
You guys heard all week how you're going up against the top offensive line in the country, and you still made Michael Penix Jr. off of his rhythm. How did you guys do it?
I mean, just playing like the best defense in the country. You know what I mean? Like, it was a great opportunity, to come up against the best O-line, the best offense in the country, and to just impose our will, just how we've been doing it all year long. You know what I mean? Playing on all three levels, whether it be the front line, the DBs. You know what I mean? We played we made mistakes, but we know we executed when it was on, when it was needed.
Your coach talks about doing this for you guys all the time, but what's it meant to bring it back for him as a Michigan man to end it like this season?
Man, man, the kind of guy Coach Harbaugh is, man, you always want to just go win for him, man. And all the things that he's been through since he's been here, all the negativity that he's been through, man, all he's done, man, just sit here and grind and be a player's coach, man, you know what I mean? And it just feels great to finally be able to bring him a championship, man, to have him be one of the best coaches in America right now, man. It just feels amazing.
Congratulations. Enjoy it.
Thank you so much.
Sean and Greg.
That's Michael Barrett. Sixth year, final game, 64th game, the school record. He was a factor when he early got to Ann Arbor. He kind of lost his starting position for a while and regained it late in his career, and he'll leave Michigan as a national champion. He talked about Jim Harbaugh, who tonight became the first coach ever to lead a team into a college football playoff national championship game and a Super Bowl, which, of course, he did a decade ago when he lost an excruciating game to his brother John, who's here to celebrate tonight. I think that's unfinished business. I'm going to guess, with all the interest the NFL has in him, that this will be it for him at Michigan. I don't know how you could go out any better than this. And what a remarkable job he has done. Some will say they had the sign-stealing scandal that taints it. I firmly believe Jim Harbaugh did not know about it, talking to a lot of people who are close to him. But what a way to end the season. I'm not sure playing without your coach for a while is adversity in the grand scheme of life. But it's something they certainly had to deal with, and they dealt with it perfectly.
And they were the most complete team from start to finish. I mean, starting week 1 of the college football season all the way through now week 15, having trailed for just 41 minutes all season long, just completely dominant week in, week out. Yes, they had some blips on the radar. There in November, didn't play their best football in the absence of Harbaugh in the 3-game stretch that was Penn State, Maryland, and Ohio State, but they found ways to win against quality competition, got better when they played against Iowa, played great under difficult circumstances, back against the wall, drive to tie the game against Alabama in the Rose Bowl, win it in overtime, and then they come out with a complete performance offensively and defensively tonight. The passing game wasn't great, but everything else was excellent for Michigan en route to this national championship.
We did finally get Jim Harbaugh with the Gatorade bucket. He had a very emotional hug with his his idol, his dad, Jack Harbaugh. Jack and now Jackie Harbaugh, the mom, getting a lift from Jim as well, and a kiss from his great mom. Harbaughs are such nice people. Jack Harbaugh, when the Harbaughs were growing up, used to say, "Who's got it better than us?" And the kids always used to yell back, "Nobody." And Jim has used that in a lot of locker rooms of teams he's coached, and I'm sure we'll hear that refrain again tonight. Michigan man throughout his life, and he has led them to a national championship. And before we go, kudos to Washington. Their 21-game winning streak ends here tonight. They weren't at their best, but it was Michigan who kind of took them out of being their best.
Yeah, and it was totally dependent on how Michigan played up front defensively. They really threw them out of rhythm from start to finish, and they deserve immense credit for being able to contain an elite offensive firepower enforced team. They did an incredible job, but tons of credit to Washington, but they were not the superior team tonight. It was blatantly obvious.
They did it the way they did all season long. Protect the football. They were +2 in the turnover margin. Michigan turned it over 8 times all year in 15 games and was one of the least penalized teams in the country. More signs of a well-coached team. Once again, the final scores: Michigan 34 and Washington 13. Wolverines win their 10th national championship, their first since 1997, their first outright since 1948. For Greg McElroy, Chris Budden, and Ian Fitzsimmons, our producer John Medani, spotter Zach Rapatrazone, statistician Mike Swanson, engineers Dave Sniff and Al Rosenberg, Sean McDonough saying so long from Houston, Texas. Now here's Mark Kestisher in the studio with the postgame show.
All right, Sean, Greg, great call. Ian and Chris, great job on the field with the postgame interviews. And wrapping up what those gentlemen just said, Michigan now held Washington to its fewest points all season, 13. So the Wolverines allowed 10.4 points per game during this 15-0 championship run, the fewest by a Big Ten team since Michigan allowed 9.5 points a game back in their last championship season in 1997. College football on ESPN Radio has been presented by Wendy's. Order a Wendy's Biggie Bag today, because if there's one thing you could bet on, it's Biggie. Trevor Maddich will rejoin me in the studio. We will take you through the highlights, talk more about this Michigan win. They are the CFP national champs, 34-13, the final over Washington. This is the College Football Playoff National Championship presented by AT&T on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Do you want more online safety and privacy? I know I do. That's why I started using NordVPN. It guards me against various internet threats. Digital trackers, malicious websites, and malware-infected downloads? Back off. I choose to browse with more confidence. I choose NordVPN.
To avoid digital threats, turn on NordVPN. It's trusted by millions of users. Just visit NordVPN.com. One of the fastest VPNs on Earth will block web trackers, malicious websites, and malware-ridden downloads. It will also encrypt your internet traffic while maintaining a smooth connection. So improve your digital privacy and protection against hackers with one simple click. Get the special deal at NordVPN.com and enjoy safer internet daily. NordVPN. Cybersecurity built for every day.
You're listening to the College Football Playoff National Championship presented by AT&T on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app.
Mark Kestisher, Trevor Maddich with you. College Football Live post-game. The party is on in Houston, Texas, and most certainly in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and Michigan alums all across the country and the world. They've waited a long time. Hail to the victors, the fight song of Michigan, their 12th national title, third in the poll era, first outright since 1948, a final of 34-13 over Washington in a battle of 14-0 teams, and the Wolverines have the Big Ten's first 15-0 season. How did it happen? Let's get to our game flow. It's brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Get a business insurance quote online in as little as 6 minutes. Visit progressivecommercial.com. CFP National Championship game in Houston. Michigan got the ball first. J.J. McCarthy took a sack at the Washington 41. Donovan Edwards on the next play, 41 yards for a touchdown. His longest run of the season had been 22 yards, 7-0 Michigan. Washington's first series was a long one, 14 plays, 67 yards, but resulted in a field goal, 7-3, and Michigan got the ball back, and that man, Donovan Edwards, at it again.
Strong side of the formation is the left. They go out of the pistol, and it's a handoff to Donovan Edwards, who breaks free again to his right. He's going to go again. 2 carries and 2